Uh, Good evening, morning, whatever time people are listening, everybody. Welcome back to 22 Panels. This is episode 218. Um, and Phil is here, and we're also joined by our Minnesota correspondent and friend, Ryan Carey. And I'm not in the mood to talk about comics tonight. I just don't have it. Um, so we won't. We're throwing out the rundown. It's been a hell of a week. In fact, I just looked down and have a news alert that apparently there is a Justice Department investigation into the head of the Federal Reserve for misuse of
Wow.
funds in renovating the offices of the Federal Reserve. And I'm sitting there going, from the Justice Department of the president that blew up the East Wing,
Oh
where
God.
we're investigating.
Never
And I'm
before
sitting
has.
there, and I'm sitting here going, and like in any other year of my life, this would have been the biggest story of the month. And here it's a footnote in this week, a
Yeah.
footnote in this week. Um, yeah, right, Ryan, if I recall correctly, you are what, a block or so from where the George Floyd incident was, and 4 blocks
No,
from
close enough though. I'm about that's more like 9 or 10 blocks where this thing happened with Renee Good getting murdered.
okay.
George Floyd is literally not even a block. I mean, if I would have been in my backyard that day, I would have seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So yeah.
that's the same. I'm one house in from the corner that's right kitty corner from that convenience store.
Is
So
that just
so
the size of Minnesota, or are you like just in the heart of it?
he just
It's
happens to be in
more,
the
yeah,
heart
I
of it.
just happen to live in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minneapolis is, it's not Chicago, but it's probably, I mean, you're in Nashville. It's probably
Yeah.
about the same size.
Okay.
Um,
Wow.
Yeah, I think we have. I mean, I know for a fact because I work for the city of St. Paul. We've got St. Paul is 500 miles even of streets, and Minneapolis is larger than that by, probably not double, but one and a half. So I would guess we probably, if you added up all the city blocks in Minneapolis, you're probably looking at 700 to 750 miles of city
Okay.
blocks. How
and
many
if it,
people you got in Nashville?
Oh, geez. I mean, let me. Unfortunately, I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to look that up.
well, this is, I'll give you right now.
Yeah.
Minneapolis has a city area of 57.51 square miles and a
Hmm.
population of 429,954, according to Wikipedia.
Okay. I
Uh,
Wikipedia's
Nashville,
also helped me with that 715,000,
right.
according to the 2022 consolidated survey, which is always it. I mean that feels
But
low.
in roughly the same, um or no, you're more spread out.
That sounds about right. But also, yeah, because
Yeah.
Nashville has been expanding its city
But the
limits.
other thing to remember is Minneapolis is one of the twin cities with St. Paul.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Oh,
Our
yeah,
so
total
okay.
metro area considered is about 2.5 million people.
yeah,
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, so that
yeah,
which is funny because that is probably
yeah.
how Nashville feels.
St. Paul is another 311,000
Yeah.
and another 56 square miles. So if you look at the Twin City Metro, oh, look at that. There's a Twin City Metro page on Wikipedia, and that'll give us um it gives us a 8,000 square mile metro area with 3.7 4.69 to 4.7, depending on whether we go combined statistical area or metropolitan statistical area, which are apparently two different counts
3.6 million people?
in the metro area.
Wow, I didn't know we were getting up that big. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, the
we're
metro
heavily
area
rated.
goes, I mean, the urban area, um, which I think is a slightly different thing, is 2.6 million. But regardless, in either case, it's in any of those cases, it's the 16th largest metro area in the United States.
Okay, yeah, that sounds
All
about
right.
right.
Yeah. So whereas Nashville is 21st.
Yeah.
Pretty close then.
So yeah, similar. Um, but yeah, no, and part of it is, I mean, I think the fact that George Floyd happened in your district is more of a uh roll of the dice, but this is because Ilhan Omar is your representative. So
Hmm.
ICE is definitely focused on, because it's the trifecta. It's a blue state that's done lots of great blue things with the vice presidential candidate as governor, and the administration's current least favorite um minority group has a concentration there, and that's when we send in the shock troops, I guess. I mean,
Yeah,
I can't believe, like, just, I mean, this week we start by invading a foreign nation,
yeah,
um, shooting in Minneapolis, which, by the way, and this just, as a teacher, I can't tell you how much this infuriates me. It would have infuriated me regardless, but the timeline makes it infuriating me even more. Shooting in Minneapolis, that after which they tear gassed a school playground
Oh,
as it
geez.
let out.
oh, down at Roosevelt. Yeah.
Right. I mean, like, how does that seem like a good idea? How, we're already in the
Well,
news today because we
I think it's clear that there's a discrete lack of thought going on,
there is. I mean, have either of you watched the video of put out by the freaking vice president to supposedly exonerate the ICE agent? And I'm
Yeah, and it
sitting there
makes him look
going,
even worse.
right. I'm sitting there going, on
The
what planet is this good
the
for
one
you?
the one where he circles her vehicle, like
Right.
yeah, that I didn't
The one where her last words are referred to be, it's all right, dude. I'm not mad at you.
Then he called her a
yeah,
fucking bitch after he killed her.
Right.
yeah,
Right. I mean,
The
on what
guy's a stone cold psycho.
on
yeah.
what planet does anybody think that makes it better?
Yeah. I mean, it's people have been quoting the 1984, the party asked you to not to believe your own lying eyes.
Yeah.
Uh, was their final and most crucial directive. And I mean it's weird because, you know, I remember hearing, I think it was like a clip of video from The View where the women were like, "We're holy shit, it's fascism right now," and it's kind of like, yeah, it's been that way all goddamn year, you know. And it's it's been like that for a long time for everyone, or not everyone, but for you know,
I thought Jonathan V. Last actually put it pretty well at the Bulwark, um, when he wrote about, yeah, because there's so many people who are trying to equate this to Ashley Babbitt. And it's like, oh, if it's okay to shoot Ashley Babbitt, why can't you? And it's like, well, like, Ashley Babbitt was with a group that had already beat up cops who had held their fire, who had tried to be, and Ashley Babbitt was like through the window into the speakers lobby where there were people huddled for safety, and Ashley Babbitt was with a group that was chanting "Hang Mike Pence," you know. Um,
Yeah, that's
whereas
nowhere near the
R
same situation.
Renee Good was turning her car.
Well, if you want
Yeah.
to get a little more apples to apples rather than apples to oranges, the same right wingers who were doxing people and getting them fired over Charlie Kirk taking a bullet
Yeah.
are the ones who are like, celebrating this lady's death.
But that's also
That's
where I mean the point that Jonathan Last wound up making is it's not hypocrisy. It's we haven't understood what their actual position is. The difference is fascism. The difference is they're okay when it happens to somebody in their outgroup. It's never wrong if it happens to somebody in their outgroup. And if it happens to somebody in their in group, it's always wrong.
Yeah,
Doesn't have to do with law enforcement, not a law enforcement. It doesn't have to do with any of the details. It has to do with if you're on their side and somebody fucks with you, then that's horrible. And if you're not on their side and somebody fucks with you, well, you deserved
right. Yeah, the
yeah, I think
rules only apply to, yeah,
it. You know,
yeah, it certainly comes back to the distinct lack of thought extends to a distinct lack of logic as well. You know,
I mean,
um,
and they're also they're not hiding it anymore. They're not even trying. Um, you know, Christy Noam was in front or behind a podium that said, "One of ours, all of yours,"
wow,
as she
mm,
was defending the ICE agent in New York City.
wow.
That's what it says on the podium. They took the time to print up a podium that says dhs.gov/wow. I don't even want to know what would happen if I went to that. But one of ours, all of yours.
That's so fucked up.
yeah,
I mean, really, look, what they're the one thing I don't quite agree on that I've heard out of you guys is that there's a lack of thought to what they're doing here. I
mm,
think
Oh,
that,
I don't think there's a lack of
yeah,
thought.
I think it's designed to provoke. They want somebody, they're dying for somebody to start shooting back at these
Yeah, no,
assholes.
I think
okay,
they're pissed as hell that they haven't had the response that they've wanted.
Right. They want an excuse for a martial law crackdown here.
Right.
And that's what that whole thing at Roosevelt was about. They couldn't even come up with bullshit charges to stick the kids with.
and for that matter, the thing, on the south side of Chicago, where they literally did a nighttime air raid on an apartment
Oh,
building.
that was awful.
A nighttime air raid on an apartment building, and then separated the people from the apartment building into two U-Haul trucks, one for people who were black and one for people who were brown.
Yeah, that was
yeah.
awful.
I guess what I mean when I say a lack of thought or a lack of logic is that they're people who clearly can't be reasoned with, and
Yes.
who engaging, you know,
Well, I
we've
mean,
we've long been past the point where engaging with them, converse like
like
talking has been possible.
it's another thing that's
Negotiations.
almost lost in this book. Stephen Miller said this the quiet part out loud again on CNN this week, where he insisted that the way of the world is The powerful use that power, and the world will be a better place when America can exert its interests without apology. And it's
Mm.
like, really? Because I mean, I thought like part of the purpose of the last 50 years was trying to be above that. I thought the entire post World War II philosophy was being above that, saying that we don't have to live by the law of the jungle. That
Right.
maybe our intellects make us better than tigers or sharks. Uh,
No. I'm going to tell you something, man. We'll never be better than animals for one simple reason. Animals don't lie. They don't.
it's true.
Sir, may I
I'm
introduce you
sorry.
to
I
camouflage?
don't mean to be laughing. It's just,
That is
Yeah,
good though. I
animals don't
enjoyed that.
lie.
yeah.
Plus, as far as any animal knows, you don't see them stressing too bad because, as far as every animal knows, they live forever. The start of their life to the end of their life, as far as they know, is forever.
I think you just made a great argument for getting rid of the written word.
Yeah, maybe
Can we go
so.
back to prehistory?
Yeah, well, there's a
Say
lot
the
of,
three guys that spend all of their life with the written word.
yeah. Well, certainly there's a pretty big, well, I mean, relative, we're speaking relatively here when I say big, but certainly there's always been a strain of anarchist thought that favors completely abandoning civilization altogether and, going back to being hunter gatherers and things like that. I mean, it's interesting to consider. I mean, the other cool thing when you really think about it is what animals, people wonder, how can they sleep 23 hours a day? Wouldn't you if you could, for one thing? And the other thing
I
is,
mean, I did yesterday.
yeah, well, you have my envy for that, my friend. And the other thing too is they've got the best free entertainment in the world because no one ever told them their dreams are not real.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
far as they know, they're off flying in them golden arches or whatever they're thinking about when they're
I
dreaming.
hope they're not flying to the Golden Arches. I hope they could do
Yeah,
better than McDonald's.
you
I
know
mean,
what I'm
maybe the
talking about. But
raccoons.
then when they get up, then they're here again. You know what I mean? But their dreams are as real to them as anything else.
Yeah. Oh.
But we've gone way off the topic.
Well,
I
I mean, that's okay
because
because
we're
I got
flailing
to
for joy at
laugh.
this point.
I got to laugh for a moment, and that's been hard to do this week.
Yeah.
That is for sure.
Um, I mean, and because like I don't even know what the topic is anymore.
Well,
Fascism in
it's
America.
yeah, it's
No,
especially
I understand that it's fascism in America, but like every day we seem further and further away from any clear way to combat it, you know.
yeah.
Um,
And I don't know about you guys, but at least at my day job, there's like a surreal veil over
yeah,
everything of like
yeah.
nobody's talking about it. Part of it's just because we're at the busiest time of the year for us, so like everybody's fucking slammed. But like
No,
nobody's talking about this except for I mentioned it to
I,
one of my friends on lunch. But yeah, it's just like it's
I
like
think
what the
this,
fuck's going on?
yeah, I think the side effect of hyperconsumerism is that like, um, if your door's not getting knocked down, if you
Hmm.
still have a job,
Hmm.
if you can still feed yourself and have a roof over your head, you're
Yeah,
supposed to pretend like it's not happening.
yeah,
Sure.
That's like the expectation, particularly because we're so polarized and like
yeah.
I hate it when people say that because we are so polarized when we get into politics, but how much of that is because we don't get into politics? Because I don't
Yeah.
really think we're polarized as human beings.
I think at this point it's that, large portions of the population have been exposed to such deep disinformation for so long that we're effectively, occupying the same
No,
physical space but different mental
A-
realities.
and there's truth to that, but it's not a truth that I think is ever going to be broken by not talking to each other.
That is for
By,
sure. Yeah.
by, by not
It's
by not like I mean, and
But you
yeah,
can't you can't communicate with some of these assholes at the same
no,
time.
and that's true.
yeah, it's pretty
I mean, you can take a
I've tried, yeah.
horsewhip and beat them, and they still won't
Hmm.
understand what the hell you're talking about.
But
Yeah.
but but I think you're talking. I mean,
It's
I
tough
think the
when
biggest reason we don't talk isn't because of the assholes. It's because of all the people in the middle who are just uncomfortable by the conversation. And I
well,
hate making those people uncomfortable, but it's time to make them uncomfortable.
that's part of it, but the assholes are another part. I'm thinking of a
They
guy I
are.
work with particularly who, you know, is unfortunately tried to be like, "Hey, why don't you get on True Social?" And I'm like, because
I'm
that's
not a
like
fascist.
exactly.
That would
I'm
be my
sorry, but
answer.
no, I
My
will never
answer
do
would
that.
be
This,
because
admittedly,
I'm not a fascist.
the last time he asked me was like 3 years ago, but it was along the lines of like that sounds like a terrible idea, and I'd never want to do that. Um, and it's just, and I've tried to get down to it and say like, look, this is what I think. No, this guy is evil, and they think no, 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 he's the one keeping everything in line. It's bizarre. It's downright bizarre how completely backwards the things that they think and believe are.
I can't disagree with you, but even think about the right wingers who
Hmm.
used to 10 years ago or so still, you know, they believed and thought stupid shit, but they
Yeah.
were living in the same world as everyone else.
Right,
Right.
right.
Now
They
they have
were,
a very comforting reality they can retreat to,
yeah.
and everything that runs outside everything that transgresses outside the lines of that
Hmm.
is fake news,
Yeah.
or you know, left wing propaganda or whatever they
But
think.
but what
Everything that doesn't conform to what they want to be the truth,
Yeah.
they just have decided isn't the truth. And they have a whole infrastructure of media in
And
place to convince them of that.
and that infrastructure is expanding as we see with, CBS. CBS
Right.
they don't
News this
even
past
trust
year.
their own media.
And that's because their own media again is they've bought out the competition,
Right.
whereas
No, no, no.
before they were,
I get
you
it,
know,
but what I mean is, I guess my one caveat to what Ryan just said is I don't know that they're comfortable where they are. For whatever reason, they've decided where they are is the right place, and they actually are deeply uncomfortable there because they completely feel under attack because they're aware that they're an incredibly minority opinion, but they don't
Mhm.
trust any of the people telling them anything even slightly different. I,
Yeah.
I mean, like when Pew Research did a poll on like media sources and what was trusted and whatnot, like Democrats have like 19 media sources that more than 50% of Democrats trust.
Mhm.
How often they go there
Sure.
changes, but like that they trust. And Republicans had one, Fox News. Even
Yeah.
Joe Rogan doesn't have 50% of Republicans trust.
Yeah.
Newsmax doesn't have 50% of Republicans trust. InfoWars doesn't have 50% of Republicans trust. They're actually right. Like InfoWars, if you're a Republican, you trust InfoWars about as much as you trust the New York Times.
Yeah.
And that's just a very lonely place.
Mhm.
Right. But they have to, because their whole sales pitch revolves around we're the only people who can fix these problems. They need an endless source of problems. They can't
Yeah.
Yeah.
actually fix anything. That everything has to get, Trump runs as the law and order guy, then creates chaos and disorder so that he can say, oh, look, you need a tough law and order asshole like me.
Mhm.
Right.
It's the old Netanyahu playbook in Israel.
It
Only,
is.
Yeah.
that's how he does it there too. He says, I'm the only guy that can keep you safe from the Palestinians. Then
Yeah.
he fucking starts all kinds of shit with them, you know?
Yeah.
Putin playbook.
Right.
Um, I mean, yeah, this is a tried and true authoritarian playbook.
Yeah.
Um, which is why they've been attacking education for 30 years too, because,
Yeah.
heaven forbid we should learn
Be able
things.
to discern facts from falsehoods. And
Yeah.
yeah, here's the thing. You want to know why, like you said, Democrats have so many different sources they trust? Because they actually compare sources.
Yeah.
Republicans don't need to compare sources because they just have one.
Once Fox News says it, it's true.
But if Fox News doesn't say it, but the Bible does, you trust the Bible. If the Bible doesn't say it, Fox
Uh,
News does, you trust
how
Fox
many
News.
of them have actually read their Bible, though?
I don't know, but I
Oh,
that's the
almost
thing.
none. No
I,
more than anyone
well,
else.
but at the same
You know,
time,
I have
that's
read the Bible, and like that drives me up the wall when somebody like Mike Johnson says, "You want to know how I'll govern? Read the Bible." And I'm sitting there going, "Dude, I've watched how you govern, and if you're using the Bible, you're using it as like the anti-template."
Yeah, which part of the Bible says that here's how you write your grinder profile?
Right.
Because
Which part of
maybe
the
Mike
Bible
Johnson.
says don't take care of the weak and the unfortunate?
Yeah, I mean the Old Testament doesn't even say that crap, does it?
No, no. No, the Old Testament you could possibly use for a little bit of the law and order, eye for an eye type stuff, but you'd also have to stone people who wore clothes of two different cloths. Um, because that's in the same chapter.
Yeah, or yeah, or like the dietary stuff and all of that too. But
Right.
none of them follow that. I mean,
No.
but it's very yeah, I live in an area that is pretty much 100% unified in opposition to this crap. But
Right.
there's still a distinct sense that outside of our little comfort zone here, everything, people's definition of reality is up for grabs.
Right.
And yeah, my big concern is that AI gets to the point where you can just manufacture video and news and quote unquote evidence of anything you want to say.
I
well,
mean,
and this is the regime that has tied
yeah,
itself to AI, propped itself up on AI.
absolutely.
Right. They want
As
no regulation on AI for 10 years, even though, the never mind the societal implications, which we can't even begin to grasp, but environmentally, AI is a goddamn disaster.
Yep.
At least
Just the
done
amount
the
of water
US way.
required for it. Everybody that lives within a certain radius of that big AI plant that Elon Musk built in Memphis is getting
Mhm.
sicker than hell.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's just AI is
So, I mean, it's another example of how broken our capitalism is because,
Yeah.
the Chinese AI has like a third the carbon footprint is ours and
Well,
right.
that's
cost a hundredth what ours
it.
did.
And for the two reasons. One is because at least I've heard that they're actually investing into solar, you know,
Yes.
so that would be huge. Two is again because the they're not propping up the industry with venture capital, you
No.
know.
No.
And I
I
mean,
mean,
I'm not.
it's
This isn't a pro China AI thing. I haven't
no,
used that
no.
in the same way,
It's not
but
not
it's
for me
clear.
either. But
It's
but
clear that it's a scam.
yeah.
It's an
I'm
overinflated scam using Enron
it's
accounting.
well, I mean. or at the very least using somehow we need to make massive profits while we're
Well, so
developing.
I've heard that
Um,
their like network of co-related companies is supposedly the exact accounting strategy that Enron used.
I wouldn't
Oh,
be
I
surprised at
believe
all.
that. I
I wouldn't
Yeah,
be
believe
surprised
that.
at all.
that's not
Wouldn't be
just a
surprised at
joke.
all. No, no, I know, I
But
know
yeah,
it wasn't. I mean, uh, among the things that I think of, like, I don't know how you enforce the law without some sort of law enforcement group, but the way policing has been envisioned in the United States is so ass backwards that it clearly needs to be completely and utterly reworked. And I gotta wonder if one of the first places is like, look at how much money we spend on policing and look at how much of it goes to officers versus
yeah,
equipment.
yep, that's huge. I
Um,
the how much.
if we required more of our officers and paid them accordingly,
Mhm.
would we get better officers? If rather than giving them qualified immunity, we had the perspective
Yeah,
that your job is to enforce the law, and you can't enforce the law unless you are the absolute epitome of the law. We
right.
hold you to a higher standard, not a lower
Yeah.
standard. And if you don't like that, go find another job.
Conversely, they are being sent to quote unquote warrior training and militarized. It's
Yep.
Right.
it's they're
Exactly.
being taught you need to feel scared. This is how you kill someone. No, they need to be taught this is how you protect people. This is,
This is how you keep people alive.
exactly. And
I mean, I asked the same question with our military. We don't actually pay our soldiers that well. We pay our veterans even worse. Um,
yeah,
and we've got $1 trillion military. What are we getting for our money?
Oh, they can't tell you where over 60% of the Pentagon money
Well, I
goes.
mean, yeah, there's that.
jeez,
It
yeah,
can't even be accounted for. It's one giant scam.
yeah.
Right. Um, like, uh, uh,
I mean, one of the I've heard supposedly a lot of the equipment that's being sold overseas, like specifically to Israel, also comes along with technicians.
yep.
So you're right. It is very much a no, no, no. It's it's all there to just make more profit on itself. It's
Well,
pretty
and
horrifying that when your product is military technology, you're gonna want people to use it, and that's the kind of thing that, in my beliefs, I don't want anyone to use for any reason.
right.
You know?
And so few of the counter arguments actually withstand much scrutiny at all.
Yeah.
If we ban guns, only the bad people will have guns. Well, no, because if you
Look at Japan.
if you have more restrictions on guns, then not as many guns will be made. The
Yeah.
bad people won't be able to afford to get guns,
Yep.
particularly if you make the people who make them or sell them responsible for if the bad people get them. I mean, there are ways to do this. You just choose not to,
Well,
you
additionally, part
know.
of part of the issue is that the reason that gun control laws on a state-based level have not worked as efficiently is because when people can just go to the neighboring state
Yeah.
and get all the guns they want or need, and then go back, there's
Any
effectively
given
no control.
year, 40 to 70% of gun related crimes in the city of Chicago were committed by guns bought out of state, and often 70 to 90% were committed with guns bought outside of Cook County.
There
Well,
you
and
go.
look at the few gun control measures that they have gotten passed over the years, and
Hmm.
you're going to find that they're racist as hell.
Oh,
Yep, that's it.
absolutely.
Like when they
Absolutely.
banned Saturday night
Yep.
specials,
Hmm.
all that did was force poor people to get their firearms illegally.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't get
Well,
good,
I mean,
cheap firearms
th
anymore legally.
this is one of my favorite trivia questions. You know what governor signed the strictest gun control laws into effect in U.S. history?
Oh, probably Reagan.
Who's
Reagan in California. You know why?
because he got shot at? Or he
No,
got
because
shot?
that was while he was president. The Black Panther
Oh,
Party.
Yeah.
wow.
Oh, when the
Yeah, yeah.
Panthers were arming themselves, the NRA was for gun control suddenly.
Right, right.
That's beyond ironic.
Yeah.
Just wild. But yeah,
Or you
yeah.
remember the guy, maybe you guys probably didn't see this. There was a fella in St. Paul who was
Philando
mi-
Castile.
yep, who was mixed
Hmm.
race, who told the cop, "Hey, look, I'm licensed to carry." The cop was asking to see his insurance and registration on his car, and he
Hmm.
was going into his glove box and said, "Just so you guys know, I got a pistol in here.
Hmm.
I've got my concealed carry license with me and all that." And the cop shot him. The NRA did not, even though a
Didn't do a
bunch of
thing.
their members were like, "We should be defending this guy's family in
Yeah.
court," the NRA would not go to bat for that guy.
Nope. My
That's so
I
fucked up,
forget
though.
the
Because
specifics, but like
his
one of
girlfriend
the
and kid were in the car.
yep,
Yep.
yep,
Oh, he
So
got
he was
shot
the
right in
whole
front of
family.
him.
yeah,
Exactly. The whole family was in the car, and he's just communicating to the officer that a gun is present, and he gets
right,
shot like without even touching it.
right, right.
Yeah.
And literally everyone in St. Paul, which is not that big of a city,
Right.
Mhm.
everyone knew that guy. He
Wow.
was well liked and he worked for the schools. He grew up, going to the high schools around it. Everybody in town knew that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you talked, I guess, off air that the turnout for the protest yesterday was large. What's the neighborhood like right now, Ryan?
Uh, you know, I mean, there's people down at the candlelight vigils still going on every single night down on Portland and 34th. Um, People are dismayed more than anything. But at the same time, it doesn't, I think maybe because it's winter, there's not, the feeling that everybody's outside on edge and anything could happen any minute. You know,
Wow.
if this was happening in June or July, it might be a different story.
Um, I follow up to that, like there's been reporting that ICE has sent agents from Chicago and from Louisiana to supplement the 2,000 that were
Yeah, there's
already in.
3,000 of those assholes here now.
Uh, are they still going door to door in your neighborhood, or are they now? Because I know once things started to get too much attention in Chicago, that they started hanging out around the detention center and twiddling their thumbs a lot
Mm-hmm.
more than they had before. So
They're
are
hanging
they
out at the airport,
okay?
hassling guys.
Okay.
Did
Wow.
you see the Somalian Uber driver get back in their face yesterday?
No, I
Oh,
didn't.
it's
No.
amazing. Go to YouTube and just look up Somalian Uber driver versus ICE. And he knew exactly how to play it. And those guys, after about 10 minutes of him, politely not complying with any of their bullshit, they fucked off. So that was good. But that's
That's
kind of what
great.
they're doing now is hanging around out near the airport. They're out in the burbs. They are not just like after they shot Renee Good the other day, ICE cut tail and ran right out of there,
Oh yeah.
which is actually altering a crime scene, and you're not supposed to do that. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, they weren't supposed to do any of what they did. But
Yeah.
yeah, they're too chicken shit to um really be concentrated right now in this neighborhood, but they'll be back. They'll be back.
Did
There's
I hear correctly that the National Guard was called in to oppose
well, they
them?
were
Or
called up in case
okay.
anything happened. To Walls told them to be at the ready, but they haven't been
Oh,
called in to
okay.
do anything. You
I
know,
see. I see.
right? And ICE are kind of trying to lay low because people have figured out the hotel that was putting them up.
Oh, okay.
And so they were down there Saturday night, so that's good.
Yeah.
Do you hear about what happened with the Hilton Hotel here downtown Minneapolis? That they got kicked out of
I
the
do.
Hilton chain?
Well, that's great. We need more,
They
when
refused to
when
put
capitalism
ice
rules,
up.
businesses need to oppose.
Right. The Hilton in downtown Minneapolis refused to put up ice. And so the Hilton corporate bosses kicked the hotel out of the chain. It's still
Wow.
there.
Oh
It's
shit.
still running, but they're not exactly
Wow.
sure who owns it right now.
So they need
Well,
so they
I
need to
think
take
it
the
was
name off. Okay.
it,
That's even more impressive that the individual people running the place stood up and
Yep. The
the it's
managers
okay.
just said we're
So
not putting up ice.
continue to fuck Hilton. Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Well,
yeah, no, I think Hilton actually really set themselves up to be fucked by both sides because do you
Yeah,
think that many of the people on the right noticed that they disavowed the one hotel, or do you think that they were
exactly.
already fuck Hilton and now um all the people on the left are also fuck Hilton. So who's gonna go
right.
see?
Because the
I
hotel
mean,
that is
We
putting
can
them
only
up,
hope.
I guess the truly centrist people will go, "Ooh, Hilton prices are low."
yeah, the hotel that is putting them up is another one affiliated with the Hilton chain.
Oh God, wow.
Yeah, so they got kicked out of one, or not kicked out, they just refused to put them up in the first place at the
Sure,
one Hilton.
sure,
And then this other, it's like it's the such and such by Hilton, the residence
sure.
in by Hilton or something.
Yeah.
Uh
Probably in one of the whiter suburbs.
no, it's downtown too.
Oh, they still managed to
Oh,
get one downtown.
Yep, they got one downtown. There's the
wow.
oh my God, we have so many hotels
You
downtown. It's
do. You do.
yeah.
I mean, you got a football field and a baseball field and a basketball court all in close proximity to each other. That causes hotels.
Hmm. Yeah. So um
Particularly because like you're the closest football, baseball, or basketball team within like 1,000 miles going west.
yeah, there's like nothing till you get to Seattle almost.
Right. Right. Anybody east of the Rockies and north of Missouri is a Minnesota fan.
That's true. The yeah, the I
The
think
Dakotas.
oh yeah, the broadcast rights for our local sports teams here go all the way out to Montana.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Um,
it
I
you know,
mean, too bad there's still not enough people to make it into a major media market. But
yeah. Well, I mean, who from Montana is really going to pack up the kids and take them to a Wolves game? You know what I mean?
you'd be surprised.
Yeah, maybe a few. Maybe a
It'd
few.
be like a once a year type thing. But like if you love basketball or you love baseball or you love football and it's the closest option, you know. I mean, my wife's family is from South Dakota, so only like 5 hours out. But, they'd make the trip into Minneapolis a couple of times a year for a baseball or football game. Um,
What was I going to say? Oh, but I don't know if I don't know if ICE is needed to switch hotels now because um people were demonstrating and making noise all night so that they couldn't sleep. And
Nice.
that has been the go-to since Los Angeles. Let's have the
good.
block party outside their hotel.
Mhm.
What's
Yeah,
really impressive is every once in a while they manage to do it legally. They manage to find that property that they can get
Nice.
the permission to play on, and it's like 100% legal, and there's nothing that can be
Oh,
done about it.
right.
that's
Yeah, here
incredible.
they're trying to draw a big focus on the fact that one security guard at their hotel got somebody spit in his face, and they're
Jeez.
making that into some big deal. And it's like, never mind that there were 3, 4 thousand people outside there who were all, doing just fine. I mean, the other thing to look for in all of these scenarios too is undercover provocateurs.
Yeah.
The
Well, and
FBI
Minneapolis
has been doing
actually
that.
dealt with that.
Hmm?
Minneapolis actually dealt with that with George Floyd,
Oh, you better believe it. Oh my God.
not government provocateurs, but like the only looters and vandals
We're right
who
wingers.
were convicted in Minneapolis were right wingers.
Yep. But
Um,
also there were a lot of
Surprise,
under
surprise.
DHS was in town for that too.
right,
And there were, because I live right, I mean, I'm on George Floyd Square,
right,
and there were a lot of snitches that were around that area that summer, and a lot of undercover cops from the Minneapolis Police Department too. I
right.
mean, we can't, things have gotten so bad here that the local cops are preferable to ICE. And anyone can tell
Jeez.
you our local cops are fucking bad enough. You know what I mean? We have one of
Yeah.
the worst police forces around, and it has not gotten better, since
Right.
that's the summer of 2020. They've got a lot more money too. Um, you
Jeez.
know, so far the only reforms of the police department here that have happened is they've managed to double their budget in the 5 years since then.
Goodness.
We had a ballot
And
referendum to,
and for people not aware, that was under Joe Biden. Joe
Yeah.
Biden funded the police. Um,
oh yeah,
I say this only because there seems to be a confusion about which
Uh-huh.
party funds the police.
Yeah.
they
They
both,
both do.
right. We had a ballot
Well, actually,
initiative.
almost every police cut ever has been a
Uh-huh.
Republican one, and they've just hidden it as an overall budget
Ah,
cut.
I see.
They
Well,
haven't excluded police funding when they're cutting overall funding.
the other thing that ties directly back into our local cops is this footage that got out there that they're trying to use to exonerate the guy, where you can see she's not driving towards him and he calls her a bitch and stuff,
Yeah.
was actually released here to the local right-wing news outlet called
Right,
Alpha News.
right.
And
Huh.
Alpha News is owned by Bob Kroll, who was the head of the notorious head of the Minneapolis Police Union for years. He was the guy who defended every cop that ever killed anybody. And his wife was one of the local news reporters for WCCO. And now she's left there. And the two of them own this right wing outfit called Alpha News.
Wow.
And Bob Kroll finally had to turn in his badge a couple years ago. And it was a long time coming. He was Bob Kroll.
And clearly didn't learn anything about what looks and doesn't look good for cops if he thought that
No,
playing
he
that
was
video was going to make the cops
he
look
was
better.
part of a right-wing motorcycle club called City Heat that are out of Chicago, that's full
Okay.
of cops and veterans and shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And when the weekend that there were the big riots here, the big civil unrest, our neighborhood was being buzzed all night by motorcycle guys loaded with white supremacist tattoos and
Right.
with City Heat decals and shit on their bikes. So a lot of the unrest that weekend was from guys that Bob Kroll was bringing into town.
Well, I live like 5 miles from Kenosha, and um, even before the night where shots were fired, um, word was heavy, amongst organizers, amongst just people that like, yes, there were going to be protests and whatnot, but what we needed to watch for the most was provocateurs. The Boogaloos had it all over their website that this is a perfect opportunity to go and start something so the anti-police violence protesters were constantly on the lookout for Hawaiian shirts,
Mm-hmm.
um, that sort of thing. There are definitely groups out there that care more about fomenting chaos because they think that in the aftermath of chaos, their side will prevail.
Right. And
Um,
you know where uh you know where that whole thinking is copied from? You know who believed that? The Manson family.
yep.
That was the core belief of the Manson family, that they were going to go live underground, and that they were going to start, a race war, and that when they came, and that the blacks were going to win the race war, but not know how to run anything, and then they'd emerge from their underground bunker and take the Manson family and take over the world.
Which may be the only thing crazier than what Steve Miller regularly spouts out loud.
Oh man, I'll take Charles Manson over Stephen Miller any day. At least he was entertaining.
Well, but I didn't say less entertaining. Um, for that matter, the advantage of being crazier is generally less competent as well.
I
Don't get me wrong. This administration is not like high on the competency rating.
No, and that's the one
Um,
thing we should be glad for.
hopefully,
Yeah,
because
because
unfortunately, competency matters less the heavier your artillery.
well, that's true. But I mean, could you imagine if there was someone as shrewd and
Oh,
calculating as Dick Cheney behind all this right now?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know,
Thankfully, he's dead,
thank God for that. Thank God
right?
for that.
I look down on him regularly and I go, Dick, I love that you came around but you never even acknowledged that, like, it was because of you that we got this far.
Right.
Right.
Oh,
And
Um,
honest to God, I don't mean to second guess campaign decisions at this stage, but I think if they would have stuck more, all that stuff Walls was doing, calling these guys a bunch of weirdos and shit, was really
yeah,
working.
it
And they
yeah,
was.
went away from that and
I,
instead
I,
went for the Liz Cheney voter, who I don't
I,
yeah.
think really exists anymore.
no, no,
Yeah.
I heard somebody say recently that establishment Democrats have been running the 2002 midterms over and over and over again. Like they got their asses kicked for being weak. The year after the terrorist attacks, and despite the fact that they weren't particularly weak, they now put appearing strong above all else. They seem somehow convinced that they're going to lose votes if they show compassion rather than strength. And like that's not the place
Yeah.
for them to be.
When instead, their most successful and like nationally renowned figures are the ones that express compassion and aren't worried about.
Express compassion. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
Did
mean,
you
among other
notice?
things, the idea that compassion and weakness are synonymous is something that they should fight.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you don't, but the leadership of the party doesn't have any fight in them. I mean, look at Chuck
Mhm.
Schumer, you know.
I mean,
Yep, yep.
you
That's
know
that's the
when
that's
the
the
when the Venezuela thing happened, Chuck Schumer's response was, "Well, I'm sure glad we got rid of that Maduro, but he should have come to." Basically, his only objection was that Trump didn't go to Congress to get authorization.
yeah.
Not that we
That's
went in there and fucking kidnapped.
he wanted to be part of that insider trading hustle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he had no objection to the fact that we went in and kidnapped a guy who, no matter what we say here, was legally elected by the people of Venezuela. You
yeah,
know,
I mean, it's debatable whether he was legally elected, but it's not our laws.
and
well,
So,
it's
right,
regardless of what we say, we're
but
breaking the
we've also
yes,
sovereignty of Venezuela to take him.
right,
yeah,
and we've also discounted from day one how much support the Bolivarians have among the poor
Oh,
in Venezuela.
absolutely, absolutely.
It's
But I mean,
almost unanimous.
but
You know,
beyond all of that, like even if we were going with the whole he wasn't legally elected, we didn't put the person who the argument is that they won the election into power. We put the vice president into power.
right.
huh,
So
right.
Well, the the
But
word is that they might
thankfully,
have a
our dear leader said the quiet part out loud and said, "Oh no, it's about the oil."
yeah. Well, the rumor is that they might actually have a deal with her and
That's
let
one
her
of the rumors,
right.
though
Who
we
knows?
haven't seen anything from her side that indicates that yet.
Right. Now I noticed that in the Venezuelan National Assembly a couple days ago, the vote condemning the US invasion was unanimous. Even the opposition parties
Mm-hmm.
voted, you know,
They're
against
arresting people who are pro U.S. invasion.
Wow.
So basically, the government is continuing just with someone else. The other big rumor is that they're going to cut a deal with Maduro where he comes out and claims that he helped rig the 2020 election and that he'll
Wow.
get a
Oh,
lesser sentence for that.
I
Jeez.
mean, you know that would get him a pardon,
Ugh.
not a lesser sentence. He'd get pardoned.
Yeah, he might, if he
I mean,
threw
for
in a
that
couple
matter,
million bucks.
I'm just going to toss this out there. So far, Trump has been saying that that there's no way that he's going to pardon P. Diddy. But if Diddy were to say that he had evidence that Jay-Z and Beyonce were ballot harvesting, he would get a pardon.
That's true. That's true. I mean, look, it doesn't matter what Trump does from one day to the next. The cult will go along with whatever it is. It can be a 180-degree turn and it doesn't matter. I mean, they were all against regime change wars. Now they're all for it in Venezuela.
Though this is another one of those things where um, there's an argument that we didn't really get where they were. They're all against wars that send U.S. citizens into combat anywhere. They're all for blowing shit up and taking things for
Ugh.
us.
Yeah, you got a point.
You know, as long as the U.S. death toll remains small or zero, they don't give a flying shit how much we bomb,
Wow.
particularly if somehow we make oil prices go down.
And yet they didn't like Obama.
I get this. I get this. But I spent a day out at Broadview, the Chicago area ICE detention center, and there was actually a woman who was like talking to the people among the protesters. She's like, "Yeah, this is terrible, but aren't you happy that your gas prices are lower?" And I'm like,
No.
"Uh, first of all, I don't know what those two things have to do with each other, but second of all, if they do, no."
Yeah.
No, I don't want human beings
Yeah.
subjected to.
I don't want lower prices due to death of people. That's not how we want to get there. That's not no thank you, please.
You'd hope that would be a universally shared sentiment.
You really do.
Yeah.
You really do.
Yeah.
But the other thing, too, about the oil prices is yes, Venezuela has the world's largest oil reserves, but it's only worth pumping when oil is really high because it's not like free flowing crude oil like Saudi Arabia. It's
Right.
this heavy tar sand oil that's costs a fortune to extract and filter and shit. And so they
Wow.
really only start pumping that stuff in big numbers when oil gets expensive enough to
Though
make it
most of the
worthwhile.
places to
Wow.
refine it well are in the United States.
Oh yeah. Well, and they always, no matter how much saber rattling we were doing with Venezuela, they were still letting their oil in here to be refined. So that tells you how much we really, I mean, it's all a show. The Venezuela thing, the ICE invasions in domestic cities is all right now. Trump is a cornered animal over this Epstein shit. It's the one
Yeah.
thing that he's lost his base over. If it's shown,
Well, that and he hasn't managed to make prices go down.
That's true. But
He's
that,
he's
you
he's
know, the
trying to convince people that affordability is a made up word
right.
instead.
You're right. That, that's had an effect too, because by and large, his strongest supporters are the billionaire class and then poor white people, you know.
Right.
Mhm.
And the poor white people know they're still fucking broke. But
And
the
they're going to
other,
know it even more if as their health care premiums skyrocket.
right. Oh, that, yeah. But what they managed to do was make pedophilia the new modern scarlet letter,
Well, I
you
mean, you
know.
did
And
hear
so,
Megyn Kelly. It's not like they were with 5 and 8 year
oh,
olds.
right,
I mean,
yeah.
15
Oh,
year
jeez.
olds are
But even,
Jeez.
even a lot of MAGA weirdos were like,
yeah,
what the hell are you talking about to her over that, you know?
yeah.
And so if it was, if good solid evidence came out that Trump was messing around with teenagers, that would, and so all this stuff is a distraction from that. It's to get the Epstein files out of the headlines. And he
Though, I
has,
mean, this is my horrible conspiracy theory. That God, I hope I'm wrong,
Mhm.
is that JD Vance is just enough more reliable and predictable for his billionaire overlords that really they're only trying to get to next January 21st because they want him to be able to run twice.
hmm, I
If
hadn't
they
thought of
get
that.
Trump through 2 years, then Vance can run twice.
I don't think Vance has the charisma or whatever you want to call it to hold MAGA together, though.
Well, while I agree with you, that assumes that we still have anything resembling free and fair elections
True, very true. And we may,
rather than just the desire to maintain the appearance of free and fair elections.
yeah, that's a excellent point.
And I think that your Peter Thiels, your Elon Musks, your billionaires whose names we don't even know because they're smart enough to not have us know their names.
Mhm.
um, See that they're better off without like the Putin that's in power forever. If they can just have their own guy in power forever, but appear that
Like
there
it's
are real
someone new
elections
every
every,
couple years. Yeah.
that would be infinitely better for them. And as the overturn window shifts, they can probably even arrange to have the other party in power for 4 years.
Oh, sure.
This is where I start to depress the hell out of myself, though. So
And
we're
so
gonna
you mean like
say,
Clinton? Like
Right.
when
That's
Clinton
exactly
took
right.
over from the
Yeah.
Republicans and handed it back to Republicans? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He
didn't
was a,
enshrine Roe v. Wade when he could, when he had full control of Congress? Yeah.
uh-huh. Or,
failed to pass health care, failed, but
Yeah.
did pass the crime bill
yeah,
Yeah.
and did
that
allow the
like
media consolidation that we see today. That was a
Yeah.
Clinton creation. Yeah, he said he was a different kind of Democrat. Yeah, he sure was the Republican kind,
Yep.
you know. But I will say, perhaps against expectations, Biden did govern more like a real Democrat
oh
than
yeah,
Clinton or Obama did.
Obama Obama did for 2 years, but he was never as good at playing the politics.
Well,
Um,
I think
and
I
that
think it was
put
less
him
about him and
way
more
behind
about
the 8 ball for 6 years.
everybody else. Like
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the virulent racist party was at their most virulent racist, or at least
No,
initiated a new
absolutely,
phase of their racism against the black
which is
president. So
which is why the way he played the politics during the first 2 years was absolutely wrong. He should have slammed everything through during those first 2 years
Mm-hmm.
rather than negotiating anything because he should have seen that this is the only time I'm going to pass anything. So I need to make it so they spend the next 6 years trying to repeal things, not so they spend the next 6 years trying
Yeah,
to
you're right on the money about that, my friend.
um
Yeah. Yeah.
and on one side I give him some credit for understanding that it was what he knew the least about. On the other side, um, when you've got 50 years of hawkish military, sometimes the outsider should take the lead. Um, he deferred to his generals, etc., a little much when it came to things like drone strikes, to not closing Guantanamo, that sort of thing. Like his autobiography is a worthwhile read. He's a introspective man. I can't wait for the second volume. Um, because
I'll
he
read
he
the
doesn't.
comic adaptation.
Yeah, that'd be nice too. He doesn't sugarcoat, or I didn't feel like he sugarcoated the things that he wishes he could have done better or the misjudgments that he made. He talks a lot about how he should have seen Sarah Palin as a much bigger harbinger
Mhm.
of things to come
Oh
than
yeah,
he did.
unfortunately.
Um, that sort of thing. But yeah, no, Biden did an amazing job with what he was given, and
Yeah.
and
He made one, Biden made one huge, awful mistake.
two, two.
Okay.
But let me hear what your one is.
Merrick Garland.
Okay, three,
Oh,
Any,
well, how would you phrase that? What about that was a mistake to you?
well, he declined to prosecute. Trump should have been prosecuted after January 6th
yeah,
immediately. I mean,
yeah.
you got to
No, I
do
mean,
like
I
the,
I
Okay.
I, I agree. Whoever took that job should have taken that job with the idea that this is a massive event in U.S. history that requires all of our resources to figure out what happened and prosecute everybody who deserves to be prosecuted to the fullest
yep.
extent of the law.
We
I thought we
only
were
have,
still on
we
Obama, not Biden.
only,
I misheard you.
No, we're on Biden, but I
Okay.
I will argue that that was just his first mistake. His second mistake was the unconditional support of Israel,
oh,
and
yeah.
Yeah.
and the third mistake was running again.
Yeah, I was gonna say should have stepped down sooner.
Or, you know what? You could make just as big an argument that his mistake with regard to that was dropping out. They had one debate that freaked everybody out,
I get that, but I
Trump
don't think
went
they
on to
should have even
prove
had
that
that.
those debates didn't matter. Trump made a bigger ass of himself in those remaining debates. I think that
What
Biden could have won again. It might have been
maybe,
tight, but I think he could have won again.
maybe, but I don't think he could have been president again.
Neither can Trump. Shit.
I understand, but like the single in my mind, the single biggest cardinal sin of the current Democratic Party is there are essentially no Gen Xers.
yeah, yeah. They've
They
they've got like a
skipped
Well,
an
lost
entire
generation.
generation.
Yeah, they go straight from the baby boomer old guard to the
There
the
aren't
millennial
that many
livers.
boomers.
Yeah.
You know, we go from people in their late 60s to 90s
Mhm.
to people in their early 40s. There's like a 20-year gap. They didn't bother to actually pass the torch until it
Yeah.
was ripped from them.
Yeah.
yeah, although, did you see? I mean, I'm Generation X. I will say this, fuck us, because I thought in the last election, we're actually the only demographic generation that went for Trump. Even
Yeah.
I think I did.
the boomers were worried enough about their social security that they
Yep.
narrowly didn't go for Trump. And
Yep.
Wow.
despite all his supposed gains among the young, which have now
Uh-huh.
been way lost already,
Right.
he still
Yeah.
got clobbered by like 20 points. among younger
Right.
voters. But it
No,
was
he managed to
Generation
get 50.
X
He managed
went
to get
for Trump.
51% of young white males.
Okay, well, he won't get that again.
No, but again, that's one small demographic of younger voters because
Right. I
like
mean,
young white females he got like 30% of, and young non-whites he got like 20%.
right. And if you broke that down to if you broke that down even further, most of those games were, I think, among Hispanic young,
Right.
the, I mean, the smartest voters in our country year in and year out usually are black women voters
Yep.
who fucking understand, what I mean, the real score, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Trump made a little bit of gains among black men that I'm sure he's lost again already. And any gains he made
Well,
among Hispanics, he's completely wiped out.
and here's the thing on those groups too is you have to really wonder, like Georgia enacted draconian
Yeah.
election laws during the
Mm-hmm.
4 years of Biden. Texas enacted draconian election laws during the 4 years that Biden was in office. Arizona
Mhm.
enacted draconian election laws during
Right.
the Florida enacted
Oh,
draconian
yeah.
election laws during the 4 years that
Florida's a
Biden was in
lost
office,
cause.
and and
Yeah.
and Alabama and Mississippi already had them. So did he lose those categories, or was there voter suppression in those categories?
Right.
Legal voter suppression, but voter suppression.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
know.
now, of course, I mean, well, look, what you want to talk about a shifting window. Okay. The moderate position now is to abolish ICE. That used to be considered radical leftist. I mean, any Democrat worth their salt running next time has to run on abolishing ICE.
I mean,
Has to.
I think we've reached the point where any Democrat worth their salt has to run on there is accountability for everyone.
Right. Yep.
Our first priority is full investigations, full. We're running on this, so if we win, we can say this is our mandate.
Mm-hmm.
And if we've got time to do the other stuff too, we will. But if we don't hold these people responsible, this will happen again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can always count on the Republicans to get worse. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You can. Like when I was a little kid, nobody thought anything could be worse than Reagan. Then we got Bush. He was worse than Reagan. Then we got George W. Bush, who was worse than his dad. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Now we got
Mhm.
Trump, who's worse than George W. Bush. Whoever they serve up next is going to be worse. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, and the rank and file gets worse.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. They become worse.
Democratic primaries move people to the center, Republican primaries move people to the right.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know if that's going to, when you look
But
at
I don't know if that'll hold
right,
at this
I
point.
think there's too much energy. I mean, Zoran Mamdani won in a landslide.
Mm-hmm. And how
Mhm.
weird is it that the love fest that Trump now has with him?
Oh, yeah,
That
Yeah,
was
that's
the most
bizarre.
surreal press conference ever. It's all
because
right.
Yeah.
You can call me a fascist.
at the
It's
end of
faster
the
that
day,
way.
yeah, at the end of the day, Trump admires winners.
Yeah.
You know,
Again, it goes back to showing his complete lack of internal reason, internal logic, internal,
Well, but
forethought, those sorts of things. It's all
that's a useful thing for people who do have that to use as a tool. I mean, I honestly think that the only thing that makes Trump problematic for Republicans at all is
Mhm.
the fact that um he's unpredictable.
Yeah.
That every time they try to clean up his mess, and which is why you notice that they're not even trying anymore because
Yeah.
I mean, you saw the shift in a week. Everybody was about the law enforcement reasons, blah blah blah, about Venezuela until Trump said, "Oh, we just want their oil." It's like, oh, well, I guess we have to shift. So when there's a shooting a week later,
Mhm.
nobody, nobody tried to show any remorse. They immediately
Yeah.
went to, she was a terrorist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that somebody gets sued for
Oh, I do
slander
too.
for that shit too.
I do too.
I mean, this
Oh yeah.
woman, first off, you have every right to protest and be out there. But
Hmm.
secondly, it doesn't sound like she was that much of an activist in the first place.
No.
Um, she was kind of wrong place, wrong time after dropping the kids off at school.
I am just waiting to discover that she lived on the block and was actually just trying to get home.
Well, she lived close.
Yeah. I mean, because it feels so much like she was driving down the block and hit the point where it's like, oh, I can't get to my driveway. Let me turn around and go get a cup of coffee. And her wife hopped out of the car because it's like, well, let's see what's going on with our neighbors and bear witness. Um, I mean, I don't know if we're ever going to hear the full story. I
No,
know
I
that
mean,
the U.S. government would like us not to. Um, but which like the idea that the FBI is not sharing with local law enforcement is
everybody knows the cover-up's underway.
yeah.
Well, it's
And
because they got the head of the FBI and it's one of their goons. It's their one Cash Patel, one of their.
Well, what
right.
does it say about the FBI that Dan Bongino decided that he couldn't take it anymore?
Oh, no kidding. It reminds me of the situation a couple years ago where the NRA leadership was so fucking corrupt and so crooked that Oliver North stepped down
Right,
as the
right,
kind of ceremonial head of the organization. If
right,
you're too fucking crooked for a guy who was running drugs into the country to pay for a war illegally, then
right.
you're really crooked.
Pay for two wars illegally.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's more responsible for the crack epidemic than Oliver North,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
yet the NRA was too crooked even for him,
yeah.
you know. But yeah, if you're too, he's got a couple of, he put a couple of podcasters in charge of the FBI.
Hey,
It's
don't bash all podcasters. Some of us have a couple of brain cells.
you. I stand
I could run the
corrected.
FBI better than those goons.
You could.
I would totally run the FBI better than Bash Patel. And you know why I know that? Because I would say, I'm sorry, sir. I'm unqualified to run the
I,
FBI.
I would I'd take a page out of who was the previous guy that was known as like oh, I forget what he had, like a goofy nickname, but he was like, nah, this is unconstitutional. I'm not doing what you're telling me to.
Yeah, I
I mean,
might be
Mike
tempted to
Pence.
just close the place up. You know, you put me in charge of the FBI, I'd be like, okay, well, I'll just spend 2 weeks closing the joint up. You know what I mean? Forget it. But yeah, that's been one depressing thing that's happened over recent years that they've managed to sort of hoodwink too many people on the left into believing is that suddenly the FBI and the CIA and shit are our friends. You know what I mean?
No,
They're not. They never
absolutely
will be.
not. No.
Well, I mean, there is that minor level of until recently the enemy of my enemy is my friend, but then they got rid of everybody with even a mild amount of scruples in
Yeah.
the
Right.
FBI.
Yeah. It's basically, I mean,
I mean, it's not an accident that the arm of law enforcement that has been juiced up during the Trump administrations is DHS. DHS
Mm.
is the newest department. DHS has the least institutional memory. You don't
Mm.
have people in DHS that will resign because that's not what we do at DHS.
Yeah.
right.
You know, he's
More
had the
like this.
problem at both the Department of Justice, at the FBI, et cetera, with people going, yeah, no, the problem is what you're asking me to do is against the law. And my oath is to the Constitution. So, no. DHS doesn't have that kind of institutional memory. It doesn't have that kind
Yeah.
of tradition. It doesn't have that kind. It doesn't have as many people who have worked for both parties.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
um, and now it has a budget bigger than all but what, five militaries in the world,
It's
maybe
insane.
10.
Shit.
But
Um,
we were used to be, they used to say, well, that's too radical, going too far, when people were calling to abolish ICE 10 years ago. Well, should have been done.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I think sometimes what we run into is when you say abolish, people then imagine chaos.
And
They imagine
that's
the
ICE
really
is
one.
making the chaos.
No,
yeah,
I
that's
get and
yeah.
I get and I agree with you. But what I'm
Mhm.
saying is when you say abolish the police, abolish ICE, abolish whatever, people think of the one thing that they're supposed to do and what would happen if nobody was doing it. And I'm not saying that that's a good argument, but that's the visceral, knee jerk argument to somebody who doesn't have the same level of embedded information
Mhm.
that other people have. So this is just one of those places where I think sometimes the problem is messaging. Of course, part of that is that like the Democrats are so lily livered with all of their messaging that like of course their supporters come up with extreme messaging because they're so frustrated that
Yeah.
there's no message.
Well,
Yeah.
and I mean, I even
I mean,
again I saw a
this is
headline.
where my biggest problem with the Democratic Party in my lifetime is, with the exception of Barack Obama, we haven't had a leader. We've had
Mhm.
people in leadership roles, but they
Yeah.
didn't do anything to lead.
Right.
Leading means I have a coherent worldview
Mhm.
and I am going to express it to you and I am going to convince you that I'm right, or you're going to convince me that I'm wrong and I'm going to change, but we're not going to focus test it before we decide what I believe.
Mhm.
My belief structure is going to be based on my knowledge and my experience, not what polls well. That's
Yeah.
leading.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having
Leading is it
integrity,
doesn't poll well, then there's
scruples.
something wrong with our messaging,
Yeah.
not there's something wrong with my vision.
Right.
Well, look at like the one thing where I would say that Biden was, that he stood firm on, and that they really hammered him on at the time, and that everybody admits he was right about now, was getting the hell out of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Very few Democrats even were like, they saw those
The
images coming
optics were
out of there.
horrible.
Right. But he was
Yeah.
like, it's got to be
Wasn't
done. And you
wasn't
know
that
what? He
even
was right. It had to be
well,
done.
It was
it
20
did.
years
It
too
was
late for it to be done.
yes, it was
Yep.
long overdue, but wasn't that also from like a Trump order that he
It was. It was. He
yeah,
was
so
totally
it was
set up
even
by the Trump administration. Trump signed
yeah.
a treaty that
Yeah.
required a pullout during the Biden administration.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. So
He actually
it's
signed it after he'd lost the election.
wow. Yeah. So it's one of those things that yeah, I agree with you. I think
But it
it
was still
was
the right thing to do.
long overdue. Yes. There was there
Both because it was long
yeah,
overdue and because we had an agreement in place. And if the
right.
word of the American, if the word of the United States of America is supposed to mean anything, you can't go back on it just because it's a new president.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, before I forget, slightly off the subject, but one thing I wanted to bring up quick, that is getting some play here locally, but hasn't made it beyond, and is of particular interest to people in our scenes, at least being adjacent to a tad, is that ICE grabbed a couple of women who were big in the queer goth scene here, and
Oh,
who are both well known in the roller skating community too. And
right.
Mhm.
as of right now, they still don't know where one of them is.
Oh shit.
They did release one of these ladies with 5 or 6 broken bones,
Wow,
and the other
that's
one has
appalling.
been disappeared into. They haven't been
God knows
charged
where.
with anything. No one knows why ICE grabbed
Wow.
them. They're both American citizens.
I
And
mean, it's. I think that this week we can see the shift start moving, to anyone who disagrees with the administration.
yeah,
You
Yeah.
know, I think that
I mean,
it's
that's how he's, I
becoming,
mean, it didn't get enough attention, but like
yeah. Well,
Portland
there.
in
I was about to say the
2020
two people in Portland.
was the testing ground for this.
Yeah. Well, and
Can
I
we
wasn't
yank
it,
people off the street, put them in vans, and make them vanish for 3 hours and get away with it?
and I
The
remember
answer is
hearing
yes.
that
So what
ICE
can we do
shot a
next?
couple in Portland this week as well.
Yes,
they
they
There was a
did.
did,
second so yeah, so it's
which makes
Yeah,
10
it's
different vehicles that they've shot into. Do you know, do you
wow.
know, like the only legal excuse for shooting into a vehicle is if you happen to be dead center in front of it and
Wow.
have absolutely no chance of getting out of the way. Now, you can't put yourself dead center in front of it.
right.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
You,
the
yeah.
key
you can't.
distinction. If you
Yeah.
have put yourself in that vehicle's way, then you are not authorized to shoot into it.
Right. So,
This
Right.
so
guy
like,
was not in the way dead center, but
no,
he put himself near it in the
right.
first
And you're
place when he
specifically
didn't
not
need to.
There
supposed to
have
shoot
been
after a fleeing vehicle to
exactly
straight.
zero of the ICE shootings into vehicles have passed the federal guidelines for use of force.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So
I mean, one of the biggest cases that they had to drop in Chicago was one where they claimed self-defense because they shot a guy through his in his car.
oh yeah, was
And
that
as
the
soon
guy?
as the video
Yep.
got out, it was like, and they dropped the charges.
I remember that. That was the guy who was a cook at a restaurant
Yep.
somewhere.
Yep.
Yep. That was terrible. But yeah, so there's a lot of there's in the our insert name crowd and
Right.
who we intersect with among that.
Very
So,
LGBTQ
right. So
TIA plus
among yeah,
and
oh, and music
fair amount of
subgenres,
goth, a lot of
goth, punk,
yeah.
electronics. Yep.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot of consternation right now about where this woman might be and how the other one ended up with a bunch of broken
Broken
bones
bones.
when she was released from ICE custody. So that's been going on, and that one has not been
Well,
getting.
I mean, in Chicago, and thank God, Cat, I don't think ever had any broken bones, but on 3 separate occasions, they threw a congressional candidate to the ground
Yeah.
on camera.
Oh man,
A 26-year-old white blonde congressional candidate.
damn.
Maybe 28. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you know that things are completely gone when they don't. I mean, seriously, this is. I don't think it's an accident that it took so long for Renee Good's photo to make it out. I didn't see the first photo of her for like 12, 13 hours.
Because
And
of the
like,
fact that she's white, it would freak out
exactly.
white people.
I'm like I was certain. Like the more time it took, the more certain I was that she was going to be both white and pretty. Because that just it does not fit with their worldview.
Right.
That white and pretty could possibly be intelligent or and they needed to come up with God, I won't even repeat the things that Jesse Waters said about her, because they had to come up with their way to
Jesse Waters
other her as much as
Jesse
possible.
Waters should have been aborted. That's the best thing you can say about that guy. His mother should pack him in the car now, drive him down to the clinic, and say, "I'm sorry, I'm 50 years late. Can we do something about this bastard now?"
See, it's funny that you say that because do you remember his first episode on Tucker's spot.
No, I've never really watched the guy.
I didn't watch it, but I saw the clips. His mom called
Oh
in
yeah, apparently his parents
and
hate his guts.
and told
Oh,
him
wow.
to be kind, to not do this, to not.
Yeah,
Wow.
I had
Astounding.
read that somewhere that his parents are barely on speaking terms with him.
Right,
So
right.
maybe we could prevail upon her to do that. Pack him into the back seat, drive him to the clinic, and say, "I should have took care of this."
Unfortunately, as much as I would like it to be otherwise, that would qualify as murder, and I do not condone murder under any circumstances.
Yeah.
Um, I just can't do it.
Well, we can. I think we can make an exception there.
Well, you're speaking for yourself,
Yes,
and
that's true.
I
I would like
respect
to.
you.
I'd like to make clear. I do not speak for the 22 panels podcast when I say Jesse Waters should have been aborted. I just speak
I'll
for
I'll laugh at
everyone.
I
it, but I
will
won't
say
condone it.
that I wouldn't have minded if he'd been aborted, but
Yeah,
like
there we go.
one of
Yeah.
the things that I have taken umbrage with this president of is there isn't post-birth abortion. That's
No.
called murder, and it's
Yeah.
already illegal.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't
Didn't
need to
they try
have
to?
laws
They,
about it.
yeah, that's true. They did try to say, like during their, but before they got Roe v. Wade overturned,
Right.
one of the arguments they tried to make was that they're actually killing kids after they're born.
Post-birth abortion.
A poor birth of,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my God. I mean, if
Yeah.
there was such a thing, hand me a pen and paper. I'll start writing a list.
Jeez.
No, I will settle for like if for whatever reason we feel like we can't get around the Supreme Court in terms of like the various crimes committed by this president, I don't think there should be any problem extraditing him to Venezuela.
There you go. Well, or he wants Greenland so bad.
Well, but so far he hasn't done anything criminal in Greenland.
No, but that's their next target.
Yeah, no, I mean, if it changes, then we'll have more places that we could extradite him for
No, I
justice
think that they
should
think
he ever come out of power.
an open confrontation with the EU, I think they think would be good for their optics
Jeez.
with their
And I
base.
think they're wrong.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
That's
my
terrifying prospect.
nightmare is they push things to the point where the EU, China, pretty much everybody but Russia starts sending troops to Canada and Mexico
Yeah.
with the welcome of Canada and Mexico because it's understood that the United States is a global threat.
Yeah.
the Canadians are worried about this Alberta secession referendum being a backdoor to US. Did you know that they actually
I
got
didn't see that.
yeah, they
I
got
hadn't heard
enough
about that. No.
signatures in Alberta to have a vote.
Wow.
Because
I
Alberta is
don't think it'll
basically like
win.
a Texas of Canada. Every country has a Texas. In Alberta, in Canada, it's
Right.
Alberta. In Australia, it's Queensland. You know,
Yeah, new poll suggests 1 in 5 Albertans would vote to separate. So
yeah, it's not going to pass.
I don't think that that's enough to
But it's on the ballot.
actually. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not going to pass. But you know, if they could, I mean, look, if Quebec in the end wouldn't separate, where there's always been a hotbed for it, and an argument could be made that it's a culturally different place. You know what I mean? If they couldn't even get a majority in Quebec, there's no way they'll get one in Alberta. But they're going to vote on it.
maybe because it looks like there's a tribal lawsuit against it. That's the newest. I'm literally learning about this as we go, so I'm not by any means an expert, but that's the newest from the Calgary Herald is that unconscionable Blood Tribe vows legal action against Alberta independence petition. Southern Alberta's Blood Tribe is castigating what it sees as the province's enabling a drift towards separatism and is vowing to join other First Nations legal actions against it. So,
well, maybe it won't come to a vote in the end. But even if it does, it isn't going anywhere.
No, it won't pass.
But a lot of people are worried that's a backdoor to, you know, the U.S.
51st
having an
state
argument that Canada doesn't even want to be in Canada. you know, so I don't know. I mean, I honestly think because the people there are darker skinned that Mexico has more to worry about than
Oh,
Canada
they do.
does.
They have more to worry about, but is Canada part of NATO?
I think so.
Yeah, I think
Pretty
so.
damn sure.
Which means that like they are, which means that like there are two versions of what happens should the US violate the sovereignty of Greenland. In one version, because the US is also a NATO country, it would dissolve NATO. In another version, it would allow for Denmark to exercise Article 5 and
Right.
all other NATO countries would have to stand against the US.
That's what would be more likely to happen.
I feel like that as well.
Yeah.
At which point, I think we find ourselves with a lot of EU troops in Canada.
Yeah. And again, I think that's what the an administration that relies on chaos to stay in power is all for that. You
Yeah.
know, they can say, "Well, it's us against the world, baby." You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Phil, we're gonna have to go revisit Brian K. Vaughan and was it Steve Scroce?
Oh,
We
we
stand
stand
on
on guard.
guard.
Oh boy. All right.
Oh, that's a comic.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I forget the specifics of it, but it involved Canada
Uh,
and
Well, I mean,
military.
I know
Yeah.
Brian K. Vaughan. I'm unfamiliar with the other. Who? What was the name?
Steve Scroce,
He's the artist. I take it.
artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Highly detailed, ultra violence sort of guy.
All right.
Yeah.
I remember Brian K. Vaughan from Saga, of course,
Saga. Yeah. Yeah.
and well, that one that everybody liked, but I didn't.
Why
Why?
the Last
Why the
Yeah.
Man?
Last Man?
Hmm.
Why didn't you like it?
I mean, it was fine, but to me, it's just like sitting down and reading a fucking TV show. You know,
Okay.
a lot. That's the I have waded my hand into the image waters and things like that a
Uh-huh.
little bit on Tad's recommendation. He told me about a really good crime book I enjoyed.
Yeah.
But by and large, they read to me like TV treatments in comics format.
Yeah. I
Interesting.
mean, this
Okay.
this is where I will say, Phil, that
Mm-hmm.
Ryan is, and like you should take $1 a month just to be able to read his reviews.
Thank you.
For Color Apocalypse at Patreon. Um, Ryan is interested in some of the most out there comics you can find.
Okay. I like the sound of that.
I
Yeah.
generally review comics that don't get reviewed elsewhere. I'll
Yeah.
put it that
Somebody
way.
has to, you know?
Yeah.
Ryan is the guy that people send comics to because they know that they'll never be heard of otherwise.
Okay.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
And he's the one that printed, friend of the podcast, Daria Faruhar. So thank you for that.
Oh.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And
It
there's a new comic store in Chicago. That Daria, hold on, I gotta look up the name for you. It just opened the other day. Daria, who by the way took the LSAT the other day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and thinks she did pretty well. Our girl is headed
Excellent.
for law school here in the fall. Sheep Cult Comics,
What is
uh,
it?
new comic store in Chicago that Daria is working at.
What's it called?
Sheep Cult Comics. She sent me some pictures. That looks like they have some pretty nice displays and things like that. Um, and
Very
I
cool.
think that
Because I know we've got her coming out to Modern Age in Algonquin that my friends at Psychocomicology recently purchased.
oh, Daria's
To
going there to do a signing or
sh-
something.
she's gonna do a signing slash workshop.
Reading. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, hey, give her points. You know what I mean? She
I
loves
am a
getting
big
out.
I am a big fan of Daria Faruhar.
Yeah,
I meant to actually invite her tonight, and it just got away from me.
well, you know what? If you she's got things tied up with what's going on over in Iran.
I know she does.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she's got a
She's
bunch
she's
of
totally
family
on
over
top of
there
that.
still. I was texting her about it the other night, but yeah, she sent me photos. It looks like a cute little store. It's not terribly full of stuff yet. Um, and I forget the name of the owner, but a friend of hers owns it, and I think Daria is basically the one employee besides the owner.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at the website right now, and it's definitely a uh even more than um Howling Pages. It
Yeah, I
looks
think
like
it's
a
more
site
Howling
for
Pages than Howling Pages. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Quimby's and Howling Pages are both also fantastic stores, but it looks like it goes deep into some of the really um
Self-published stuff. Yeah.
self-published
Um,
stuff.
I think she's gonna like working there though.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, and I'm gonna have to make certain that I get down there
yeah,
because
pay a visit.
it looks like my type of shop.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of good stuff to choose from in there. Um, so but yeah, she took the LSAT the other day and thinks that she did pretty well with it. So she's getting her
Okay, this is a
applications
crazy
in.
floor plan.
We're gonna have a cartoonist lawyer on our hands.
I would be all
Nice.
for that.
Yeah.
All for that. What is our address? How can I go if I can't find the
If you don't know where
address?
it is, maybe they need to do some work on that website. I'll have to let
I
her
mean,
know.
it's a
Right.
beautiful website. I'm just finding
You
everything
gotta
except the
you'll have
Except
to
the address.
address.
invite them on the show to find out where to find them.
Yeah, find out where it's at. Good
All right.
idea.
All
What do
right.
you got
I'm
for
at the
stores?
about page and
Uh-huh.
it's got who we are, it's got
I forget the owner's
the
name.
It's
shopping experience, it's
it's
Okay.
got
the
a
about
store
page,
overview.
not the whereabout page.
I mean, it shows us the checkout counter. Here, I'll share my screen with you guys.
What do they got
Uh,
for shops in Nashville?
The one I go to best in town, in my opinion, is called Rick's Comic City. They sell they're pretty like half and half between Marvel and non-Marvel things. And they've got friendly staff. There is one.
view from the entrance,
Ooh,
Oh,
that does look really
yeah.
interesting. Wow, that
the
is
the
crazy.
floor plan.
I've heard that in the
Holy
big
cow.
two sphere right now that DC's got it all over Marvel these
Oh,
days.
DC's been killing it
I think
lately.
so.
That's what
Yeah.
I've been hearing.
Yeah.
I
But
have
I was
not
gonna say,
kept up with but I want to read some of that what the
no,
hell am I
Ryan,
thinking of, Tad? They got like a new setup at DC.
the absolute
Yeah,
Absolute
stuff.
thank
line.
you. Absolute line. Yeah,
I
I
would
want to
I
read
would
some of
I
that.
would particularly recommend Absolute Martian Manhunter and Absolute Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Those are the two that I love. A lot of people love Absolute Batman, but I think it's less of a deviation from Batman than the Wonder Woman and
Well, is
Martian
now
Manhunter
am
are.
I mistaken? But isn't the absolute Batman is the big guy, Scott Snyder and Greg
It
Capullo,
is.
right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Or not Greg, but Nick
I think
Dragata.
it's Jock. Well, Jock's doing an issue
He did an issue, but
here.
yeah, but
It's
Nick
not
Dragata is
Greg
the one I
Dragata.
Capullo.
launched with.
Yeah, Dragata's doing a lot.
No, Capullo went to Marvel to
Oh, did
do,
he?
yeah,
See,
to draw Wolverine and some other things.
I think he's a pretty good artist, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he's definitely talented. I was going to tell you though, there's definitely one comic store that you'd like in Nashville, Ryan. I'm pretty sure it's called what's it? Town Square Records and Comics. It's
Okay.
got the I'll have to look up the name for it. I've only been to it once. It was the first comic shop I went to down here, and I saw it's a bunch of small press. They had one of Jim Woodring's books, and I was like, okay, this is a really cool spot, but this is not my
Yeah,
regular
Jim
place.
Woodring is one
So
of my favorites.
I I had a guess.
Did they have a scene at all? Is there cartoonists there locally?
I don't think there's many. Like that's the thing is
Okay.
that Nashville is tough in that it's a town that we know how to treat artists, but those are usually we know how, the way that we treat them is exploit them still. you know?
Oh,
Yeah, so it's a it's a touristy commercial town that doesn't
I've
have a
been
whole
there
lot of
before, and
art stuff.
actually, I had a hell of a lot of fun. Um,
It has changed over the past few years. My wife
okay.
has lived here basically her whole life, and I've been visiting since 2008 when my parents moved down here. It used to be like a big small town. It was really cool, and it still has some really cool parts of town, and there's great food and everything. But the downtown area is full of drunks 24/7. It's a
Oh,
nightmare.
just tourist drunks.
Yes, people start their drinking from like 11 or
Okay.
noon until 2 or 3 a.m.
In other
It's
words,
nonstop.
in other words, you got 6 blocks of Vegas right downtown.
Yeah, they call it Nash Vegas.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess I can see why.
right.
I mean, we've got Tad and I have friends in Knoxville.
Hmm.
Yep.
Um,
I think I've been there once.
but I don't know if there's anybody else in town other than them. Um, but yeah, it's interesting to see what cities kind of cartooning scenes pop up in or not, you know.
Oh yeah. What are
Usually what you'll find is if there's a lower cost of living,
hmm
you know, because everybody in comics is broke, you
yeah,
know. Um, so places like Columbus and stuff have really had thriving scenes in recent
okay.
years because they have a lower cost of living than other places. And then yeah, Minneapolis, Chicago, the bigger, you know, the places that have always had a little bit of a scene. And then the other huge independent comic scene right now, probably the biggest outside of Seattle is Philly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Philly's a good scene.
Philly's a good
Awesome.
scene. There's a lot of good talent out there. And
Pittsburgh's
because
not a bad scene.
what's that?
Pittsburgh's not a bad
No,
scene.
Pittsburgh's a good scene too. You're right,
Yeah.
but Philly is like they all live in North Philly because it's
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
you know it's cheap. I mean, but yeah, you're right. Pittsburgh is always and like Copacetic's always been out of Pittsburgh and stuff like that.
Right.
There's been Frank Santoro and those guys
Yeah.
are out of Pittsburgh. But as far as like the younger, like 20 something up and coming cartoonists that are a little less established, a lot of that is happening in Philly now. And it's at Partners and Sons, you know what I mean? Having a good
Yep.
store there makes a difference. But just having a cheap neighborhood to live in. Oh, they take
Yeah.
books on
Cheap.
consignment too, huh?
They do. They do.
Yeah, I
I'm
forget the
still
name
looking
of
for
her
an
friend who
address though.
owns the place, but it sounds like she's determined to make it like she didn't get like any distro accounts or anything like that, I don't think.
Well,
That's her
you
Emma.
know that doesn't. I don't know if that's true because I was looking at the shop and what they have available, and they even have it listed by distro, like
Oh, all
no
right.
one else through Lunar.
Because Daria said she didn't think they did, but she
This one
might
is
just
through
not
Wig
have anything
Shop.
to do with it.
I think that they're picky about what they order through the distros,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, they got
And
Hansel
and, and
Minson
you
and
can
stuff
go
there.
other ways to get Fanagraphics, but I mean they've got Fanagraphics here essentially.
Okay.
Um
Looks like they still have a little
and drawn a
silver
quarterly.
sprocket too,
Yeah.
for as long as they're going to be around.
I mean, not selling their comics isn't good for their artists. Even
Right.
even if the
But the
money doesn't
problem
get
has
to
been that so far selling their comics hasn't been good for their artists
well,
either.
But
but what I mean is that like if you sell their comics, at least you put their artist name and work in somebody's hands
Right.
that
Well,
will
and if she's got a Lunar account there, then you're
right,
going to get Silver Sprocket because they are still listed with Lunar.
right.
Um, and I think they were with Diamond before. Oh, there's hey, what do you think? Carolyn Cash is doing Nancy now, huh?
I've loved it.
oh yeah.
I've loved it.
How about
I
that?
haven't read all of them, but the ones that I've been read so far, I've been all over. Um, I was been very happy looking at Carolyn
Yeah,
on
she's really
Nancy.
done well
I
for
liked it
herself.
when she did what, a 2 week hiatus for Olivia
Something like
James
that. Oh,
a while ago.
there's that Abby James. She's good.
Which one? Oh yeah,
Yeah, she's really good.
Ooh, that looks really cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah. This is totally Ryan's sort of thing.
Nice.
she's a good cartoonist. There's Wit.
That's Those
Oh,
are
there's my book,
Which one?
American Cult.
That one's
oh
your book?
Well, I mean, it's not. I have a story in there.
oh
Oh, you
cool.
do? I didn't
Yeah,
know
me
that.
and
I'll have to
Freiheit did a thing on Jonestown for that.
I'll have to put it even higher on my to read list.
Yeah, it's my one fucking published credit in the comics world.
Well, I mean, other than like the Comics Journal and
Well, yeah, I guess that's true. But I mean, you know what I mean. One piece of cartooning.
cartooning credit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's got some pretty good stuff here.
Yeah, no, this is
Where's the page? Let's see if Daria's on the about us
Mm.
page.
no, she's not on the About Us page
Ah, they
either.
didn't put her in there.
Yeah, no, this is what I'm saying. I'm disappointed that I can't find an address and I haven't found Daria herself yet.
Yeah, Daria hasn't brought her books
In
in there
fact,
yet.
in fact, they don't have any books.
I was talking to her the other day. I said, "Put your books in the display window." She said, "I will." And I talked to her again. I said, "Did you put your books in the display window?" She said, "Oh shit, I forgot to bring them."
Well, see, this is the problem with Comics Evangelists is we're great at plugging things that aren't us. Way
Right.
better at plugging things that aren't ours than plugging things that are.
Yeah, and the other thing too is a lot of people who are, you don't need me to tell you this. A lot of people who are good artists are terrible at self promotion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
They just don't have.
it's the social anxiety of it all, really.
Yeah, that's probably a big part of it, Phil. And then the
Yeah.
other part is just you know, they want to spend their time drawing, you know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
And then once
Well,
something
and
is done, the creative impulse is usually to go on to the next thing rather than taking some time to try to sell the thing you
Absolutely,
just
yeah.
well,
did.
and don't undersell the fact that a lot of the ones that are artists are artists because they're not so good with words.
Mm. Yeah. As David Lynch
Well,
said, the art is
right.
the talk.
Although in this case, we're
Not
largely talking
not
about
all of
people.
them, but there is no lack of artists in the comic community who aren't so good with words.
That's true. Although in this case, we are talking about people who are largely writing and drawing their
Mhm,
Yes.
stuff
mhm.
when we're talking about the self-published and small press world. I mean, there's some collaborative stuff that gets put out, but 9 comics out of 10 in our little independent scene are the
Mhm.
handiwork of one person.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Though that's often just because like there's not enough money to go around.
well, there's no money going around.
Well,
That's my
and
point.
there's
There's no money going around. But it's also what they. I mean, I'm not particularly interested in seeing a collaboration between someone else writing for like Josh Pettinger or Lane Milburn or something.
yeah,
I want to read their stories and see their art. You know what I mean?
Though you know
yeah.
what, I could go the other way. I think that Josh Pettinger could do some great stuff with somebody else's writing.
He probably could. I mean, the guy's just good. But I'm just
Right.
throwing those names out like an example
No,
off the top of the head.
but that's there are people who are 100% pure cartoonists who are never better than when they're writing their own stuff.
Right.
Um, but
Nobody
there are
ever
a lot
wanted
of
Charles
people,
Schultz to collaborate with somebody else.
right? But there are a lot of
Yeah.
people that their strength is one way or the other. So,
Right.
like, even if most of what they do is solo, um, when they write for somebody else or when they draw for somebody else, depending on what their primary strength is, it can be something really special, you know. Um,
Yeah, that's true. Hey, don't never forget Alan Moore and Peter Baggs' Kool-Aid Man strip.
Really? I
Yeah.
wasn't familiar with that one.
Uh-huh.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah, he did a yeah, that was actually it really is.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was one of the yeah. But as jet but yeah, I don't knock um skills of big two and other type of guys. I can't draw, so anybody who can draw, you know what I mean? They got my
Right.
respect, that's for sure. It's just what you get used to as a reader. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
absolutely.
If you're if you uh, I grew up on the same comics that we all did, you know what I mean? But it's which is just, for lack of a better way of putting it, the assembly line method. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's how
Speed
they're
over
made.
quality, yeah.
And it stood well for, but generally speaking, when you get into the point where you're not talking about corporate owned properties, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Then,
agreed.
I'm more interested in seeing something that is one person's um
I mean,
whole idea.
Well, even for that matter, like even if it is a collaboration of, say less than five people, five to 10 people, I think you can have a lot more clear of a story conveyed than your average TV show that's a collaboration between like 100 people.
500 people. No, you're
Yeah.
right about that. You're right about that.
I mean,
Um,
I think of some of my favorite comics involve people who are. I mean, don't get me wrong. If David Lapham never did anything but 100 bullets, I
Oof.
would have absolutely no problem with that.
Oh, you mean Stray Bullets?
Yes.
Yes.
But if David Lapham never did anything but Stray Bullets, sorry. I
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
reread 100 Bullets, which is also a fantastic book,
I was gonna
but was
say
never one creator. If
the
David,
the day we get a Stray Bullets, 100 Bullets crossover will be a fine day indeed.
it will be. If David Lapham never did anything but Stray Bullets, I would have absolutely no problem with that. But when David Lapham gets a call from Shelley Bond to say, I think you'd be great on this book getting pitched to me by the Grand Theft Auto guys,
Yeah,
and
that
then
one's
they
that one's
find the
interesting,
right
all right.
colorist and the right inker and the right letterer, you get something that's so much greater than the sum of the parts, because it's not a David Lapham story, which doesn't mean that David Lapham's art doesn't go really well with it.
right.
I even felt like
You
the
know,
inking and coloring transformed him
absolutely,
pretty far beyond
because
what I see in Stray Bullets.
I mean, he did what for David Lapham
Hmm.
is loose pencils. For anybody
Um,
else would be finished pencils, but for David
Right.
Lapham, it's loose pencils.
Hey, what un out of left field, but because you guys would know, but I don't. But I'm tempted to look, and I'm also really scared to. What is the deal with these new EC titles?
um, they're how to put it. I have enjoyed them more than I haven't. I think that there has been sometimes hit or miss in terms of the height of the quality.
Uh-huh.
But I think that if you actually read EC, all of EC, rather than like best of EC, you have
Oh
similarities.
yeah,
Um,
there's a few clunkers.
uh, uh, if
Although I
you're
will say
looking,
this, I never read a Harvey Kurtzman scripted EC clunker
oh no,
or
Harvey
a
Kurtzman,
Johnny Craig written one.
right?
Um, some
Well,
of the
and
stuff,
and
yeah, some of the Al Feldstein stuff could be a little hit or miss.
well, and that's where I'll say like Chris Cantwell's written some, and I've liked all the ones Cantwell has done. Chris Condon's written some, and I've liked all the ones Chris Condon has done. You know, David Lapham's done art on a bunch of them, and I haven't disliked a David Lapham one.
Oh, he's drawn
Um,
some of those?
yeah, he's drawn a bunch of them.
so
But then the other thing I'll say is if you're looking for it to be EC, you're missing the point. What they were trying to do is if these comics had never gone away, what would they look like today?
Okay.
so it's
So
so,
so there's
speaking as someone who hasn't read any of the books but has kind of observed it from afar. It looks like, I mean, I think that's an impossible legacy to
oh, it
fill,
is.
Oh yeah.
but they
Which
know
is
that.
why they're not really.
Exactly. But
Well, and
so it's
it's
the
a
kind of thing.
licensing deal, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
It's the kind of thing that I definitely check it out. I'd read it. It's not like, there's handfuls of other licensing deals that I'm like, I wouldn't waste time on that. But this one is no, I'd read all of that, you know. It
I think
sounds like there's some good stuff.
I think at their best, what they've managed to do is capture the EC ethos and the EC twist.
Mm,
Right.
Um,
Got to have a twist in there somewhere.
but like EC, sometimes the twist lands and sometimes the twist doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
But they've definitely like one of the things that made EC great is in all of those horror stories and all of those crime stories and all of those sci-fi stories, there were also social commentary stories. And I think
Yep.
that there's a lot of
Mhm.
that going on, and there's a
Okay.
lot of the twist going on.
Well, the other thing too, though, is who are we kidding here? The main thing with EC is that even if you got a clunker of a story, it was gonna be drawn. You know
Yeah,
what I
I think
mean?
the art has been outstanding.
Okay.
I've been really impressed with
I
the
mean, I'm
art.
not expecting another Wally Wood, but
Right. Well,
or
but I
Al
mean,
Williamson or something, but the
but
guys are good.
I mean, I love David Lapham. David Lapham's
Yeah.
done a bunch of them. Um, that there are more different styles, just like there are more different styles of comic art, period, today than there
Right.
were 50 years ago.
Well, there were
Um,
a lot of different styles within EC.
right.
You're not going
So,
to mistake. You're not going to mistake a Harvey Kurtzman drawn strip for
oh, well, it would.
George Evans. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Um, so like there might be some that don't wind up hitting your art fancy or whatever.
Uh huh.
Um, but I think that they've captured the spirit of what the EC line is
Do they
supposed to
got
be.
some in? Do they got some in trade now?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Every
What's
5 issues or
one?
so,
I'll
they.
order one tonight. If I got to order one
Oh,
trade, what's the winner?
let me go look really quick,
Yeah.
because
Because I've been very reluctant. I mean, I'm a huge EC fan,
yeah.
Mm.
So I've been on the reluctant side to pull the trigger on any of these. But at the same time, you throw those two letters at me and I'm going to be interested.
Oh, I
If it
yeah.
just
Yeah,
says
yeah.
EC, I'm going to be a little bit interested, even if it's got fuck all to do with, you know what I mean?
Oh
Right,
yeah.
right. Bu-
I should know better than to be that way, but
They're at
Well,
least
were
gonna
you
make you think about it.
well, here's my first question. Were you because honestly, I would have you start with one of the first two trades and have it be, were you more a horror guy or a sci-fi guy?
or
If you're more of a horror guy, I would do the first Epitaphs from the Abyss trade.
Epitaph from the Abyss.
Yeah.
All right.
And if you like more of that than you don't like,
Hold on, I'm grabbing it up now. Epitaph from the Abyss. Okay.
right.
Pardon me, epitaphs, plural from the
Epitaphs
Abyss.
from the Abyss.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I got it here now. Okay. Yeah, I'll order this up. What the hell?
But yeah, I mean, Jason Aaron, Brian Azzarello, Rodney Barnes, Karina Betchko, Cullen Bunn, Christopher Cantwell, Cecil Castellucci, Chris Condon, Joshua Hale Fialkov, Jay Holtham, Jeff Jansen, Matt Kent, Sean Lewis, Stephanie Phillips, Jay Stevens, Zach Thompson, Ben Willers or Winters, Peter
Jay Stevens,
Krause,
huh? No kidding. There's a name
Peter
you don't hear
Krause,
much
your
anymore.
your your Minnesota guy. Leo Max, Malachi Ward, Dustin Weaver, Ryan Hughes, and most of the covers are Lee Bermeo, though Greg Smallwood and J.H. Williams have done a lot of
Oh,
the
J.H.
variants,
Williams. Okay.
a
I
lot of
do love
variant
J.H.
covers.
Williams.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I love Promethea.
Oh,
Okay.
Right,
same. That's one of my all-time
right.
favorite comics.
Yeah.
Did you
So
read Echo Lands?
Echo Lands? No, I don't know that one. When did that one come out?
Williams.
that was
Uh
all Williams. He wrote
yeah, Williams wrote and drew it. It's
Really?
and it's
landscape.
widescreen.
So
Yeah.
so the
Oh shit, I
issues,
bet
it's
that
the
looks
same
good.
dimension, but they're turned on their side. So the pages are like it's like 4 pages on a
When did that
spread.
one come out?
That was a couple years
Uh,
ago. He's working on
yeah.
volume 2. I know that. Let me check. So I want to say 2023.
Is that a
Um, that was
image
from
thing?
Image. Yeah,
Okay,
it
yeah,
was
I
so
don't
good.
follow it closely.
Echo Lens, the first volume came out in
Yeah,
2022.
22. Okay, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
but
been
I
a
was
little
gonna,
bit.
if you're a Jay Stevens fan, did you
Yeah.
catch Dwellings?
Oh yeah, love it.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, yeah. I get. Yeah, I think he's a terrific. And he like totally. disappeared almost for a long time and then turned back up with that. And he has not lost a step. I really think that he's a talented guy.
He is.
So all right, I ordered that up, Epitaphs from the Abyss, and we'll see how it goes. You know what the hell,
You
right?
have to let me know what you think,
Yeah,
because I know I pitched the idea of doing a EC read along to you with you when these were announced, and you were like, "I'm scared." I'll talk
I
about
want.
old EC all you want.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Because I would not have any knowledge base of the new stuff whatsoever. No, I don't intend to get into it too big, but
Right.
if I read a book and it seems like, yeah, all right, this ain't so
I
bad.
mean, I
That's
guess the
all I'm asking for.
yeah, I guess the best way to put it is that I have been getting them all. At the beginning, they were among the first books that I read, and now they sometimes stack up.
Okay, well, that'll
Um,
happen though.
well, and not because they're bad, but because
Something new's come along that, yeah.
and they're not consistently like blow my mind enough to make me go, this needs to be on top of the list.
Do they have a war title?
Not yet, but they have done a Western title and they have done a fantasy title. So I
Okay.
imagine a war title will. I mean, they've been doing both like seasons or miniseries, like 5 to 12 or 6 to 12 issues, and one shots.
Because I
Um,
thought, like, have you ever read it? Because people can successfully like blazing combat. You know what I mean?
right.
That was pretty much just aping EC's war format, but it was still really good. I still think Blazing Combat is one of the better war comics I've read, but I wouldn't put it up there with Kurtzman's Two Fisted Tales or something, but it was pretty damn good.
Yeah, we did for our Pulp Blotter book club, we did a Corpse on the Engine,
Oh man.
the Fantagraphics collection of Kurtzman War Tales.
Oh yeah, that's right. They started. I've been collecting those up. It's the black and white EC
Yeah,
reprints line, and I thought,
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know, because Marie Severin's colors are so good. But
There's truth to that. There's
but the
truth to
truth
that.
is, these black and white books look great,
Yeah.
and the Dark Horse reprints they're putting out now are recolored.
Right.
Why the
Well,
fuck?
because there's not really, at least the way I understand it, um, the there aren't really good enough copies of the original colors to use. I mean, they
Huh?
don't have the original separations, whatever. Shelley Bond knows more about the coloring in terms of like
Okay.
this number and that number, because the first thing she learned
But I mean those, but the
at
Russ
Comicula,
Cochran reprints had the original colors.
did they,
Yeah.
or were they copying off of the best they could find
Oh, that's
of
probably what they were doing, you know.
right?
But I
Well,
mean,
but
those
that's
Russ
different
Cochran
from
reprints are still kind of the gold standard reprint for EC people.
okay. I'll have to go look at them. I like, but I mean, again, and I'm not trying to take a strong position because I don't have a strong position, but
Sure.
it's essentially between do we take the faded colors off of the best copies that we can find of printed, or do we work with what we know of what it was supposed to look like?
Well, aren't they computer coloring them though?
I don't know what they're doing at
At,
I know
at
that
Dark
that's the
Horse?
reason that Fanta decided not to color was they
Right.
didn't feel like
Well,
they had good enough data on what the color was supposed to look like.
yeah, and so they ended up splitting the license so that
Right.
Fanta got a black and white reprint license and Dark Horse got the color one, but I have not I can't bring myself to look at recolored. You know what I mean?
Right.
DC. In the same way, like if I would have ever knew that when I ordered that absolute swamp thing, that it
Mm.
that they were getting rid of Tatiana Woods
Oh no.
colors for
Oof.
modern computerized shit in Swamp Thing. Oh my
Well,
God. I
Jeez.
never ordered the other ones. The
Yeah, and you
the
know
first
what?
three volumes. No way.
Apparently, most of that recoloring work is kind of bottom of the barrel in terms of how it pays. So you're not even getting people's best effort on it, you know?
I'm
Like,
sure
so it's
not.
yeah. So it's
But
and
what do you think would
unfortunately,
even
Well, it
possess them to
depends,
do it?
because like Villarubia has been recoloring
yes, yeah,
like
there
like
are a couple
uh
people.
Yes, he
Corbin,
redid the Bernie Wrightson Swamp Things.
right?
Hmm.
But and I did get that one. But on
They're
those Steve Bissett and Alan Moore Swamp Things,
Mm.
what would even possess someone in
Yeah, those
editorial
original
to
colors are
think
so good.
yeah, what would
You
possess
know
an
what it
editor
is?
to think we need to recolor these?
Unfortunately, as you can see from the Sandman recolorings, is that a lot of times with the classic colors, they want things to be quote unquote photorealistic,
yeah.
naturalistic.
Oh,
They
they're
they don't want
recoloring Sandman too?
well, they already did. They it was I think those are the editions I read originally, weren't the original 90s colors, but they were more like modern drab sort of colors. I have to dig up my old ones, but yeah, that's when you see the recoloring, a lot of times they move away from like the shocking what's seen as garish, like, oh, why is this whole panel neon purple? And it's like for dramatic effect, damn it. Um,
Right.
those sorts of things. So it is I'm with you there that oh, I mean, you know what, to me the one that drives me up as well is anytime I see Jack Kirby with modern colors, it just makes my skin crawl.
When did they do that?
I've seen shorts here and there and like anniversary issues where I've seen a modern color Jack Kirby one and it's grotesque.
That would be. I'm because I got the first one of those absolute fourth worlds,
Hmm.
and I did not get the second one because I didn't care for like the whole design of I mean, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but I didn't care for the whole, they're trying to kind of make it look like this kitschy product,
Oh,
and oh, this is kitschy and fun instead of like this is fucking visionary thinking.
yeah.
You know what
This
I
is a
mean?
space opera.
Right. And they weren't recolored, but the fact that it was on this glossy, high
Hmm.
quality paper
Yeah.
made the colors pop way too much.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
as far as I know, they didn't recolor it, but it was just and it was the same issue that I had with the omnibus Fourth World because the
Um,
paper is so crisp and white that the colors pop a little. The Kirby stuff will look better with newsprint color. It just will.
yeah. I think most of the time recreating the technology, it's always going to be hard when you don't account for uh, those things that the modern materials are doing differently from the original materials, so that getting that same level of like mutedness out of the newsprint, so that as opposed to now where we're in a world of hypersaturation with all the colors and everything is glossed over and beyond rich and multi-layered. So it's
Yeah.
hard to get a good representation of what at the time was the height of technology, but now is absolutely minimalistic.
Well, it's very interesting. The I know that I'm not the biggest Incal fan. It's all right, but I know
Okay.
that the hardcore Incal fans really threw a fit when they put out some kind of a deluxe reprint of that where
I think I heard about that too,
yeah,
yeah.
they actually scrap they actually recolored that thing.
Hmm.
And obviously nobody wanted Mobius's work
Yeah,
redone.
Well,
that's like
see, what
sacrosanct.
I always wonder, because this is, and I don't know on this one, but I've seen it a couple of times. Heavy Metal actually did a really bad job
Mm.
of coloring some of the stuff that came over from Europe initially, either just printing it in black
Um,
and white rather than coloring it, or just not coloring it because American printing standards
Right.
and
Yeah.
equipment weren't the same. So
I
I
see.
always wonder when anybody gets upset about coloring or lettering on a heavy metal type thing,
Uh-huh.
whether the problem was that they're now seeing it the original way, and
Mm,
they've just become so attached to. I don't know what the Inkle,
yeah.
so I'm not wading into that one. But
Well,
Right.
my
the
Right.
point is with that one, they went back, I guess, when they went and printed it again, because it's one of those books. They're always print, the hustle. They're
right.
Yeah.
always printing
Yeah.
some format or other. When they went back to it, then they went back to the old colors.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So they at
Yeah,
least
because we
So
had
they
realized they
total
did.
listened.
outcry.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
and they had and it was the same thing with the swamp thing. After that absolute thing,
Hmm.
when they went back to do the Moore and Bassett swamp things again in, I don't know if it was hardcovers or trades or one of them, they went
Uh-huh.
back to the old colors again because nobody liked the new shit.
Yeah. I'm
Right.
pretty sure that the paperbacks I picked up have the original style coloring because I do know it looks of the era and I didn't hate it. So
Right. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, that to me, I mean, I just don't understand. I don't think there's that big of an appetite to have this shit recolored. I think
mhm.
it's one of those things they got this idea in their head that, oh,
Well,
modern readers won't like these colors. But
yes,
there's actually no
that's
proof
exactly
of
it.
that, you
Right,
know.
right.
I mean, again, this is one of the places where I would love to actually have the conversation with the person who made the decision, because I wonder how much of it's assuming that modern readers will want this or that, and how much of it is um
Unusable
sometimes
files.
adjusting old colors to new print styles is a,
Mm,
you know,
yeah,
how much of it is a technical decision versus a market decision. And when
that's
they
a good point.
discover
Yeah.
that the market cares, then they change their technical decision.
Right, right. Yeah. That would add I would love to be part of that conversation. Yeah.
You
That's
know,
that sounds like it's worthwhile.
because I know that with the four color system, a lot of it was just like knowing how to number
Yeah.
grids.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that the US did so much worse coloring than Europe did is you could do infinitely better coloring than the US ever did.
Hmm.
It just required a lot more work,
Yes.
and like the US wanted to work in like a set number of
Uh-huh.
saturations, and
They wanted the
Europe would
speed.
use much more, and the US wanted very discrete coloring
So,
inside of lines, whereas
uh-huh.
in Europe they'd sometimes be willing to use the colors to create definition in ways that you didn't see in the
Yeah,
US
yeah.
until they'd move beyond four
You know
color
what?
coloring.
The reason for that
Um
probably is so that they could reduce the amount of production waste and again material costs. One of those things where
Yeah.
getting those rich colors probably takes like to get a printer up to that, you have to maintain it. So I worked with printers admittedly for mortgage statements, so it was nothing fancy, but they really do change in quality as they run. And so
right.
maintaining something to be at that level of performance of like a painted European comic versus the American newsprint stuff, like I have to imagine with those set splotches, it's just that's how it could run fast and maintain enough quality to be able to sell everything you printed as opposed to a certain
Ah,
percentage of it.
we have the address, and it just opened yesterday.
Yeah, I
Wow.
knew it was, yeah.
Um, um, Sheep Cult Comics is at 1632 North Milwaukee Avenue in Chicago, Illinois.
And I'll tell you, I looked through their store. There's like easily $140 worth of stuff in a cart that I'm gonna have to narrow down because, yeah, it's.
Just come visit, buy it in
I mean,
person.
yeah, I'm sure, but like, you know, that one that I'd never seen, the emotional data, that looked fantastic. Beverly by Nick Donasso. I'd love to read another book of his.
That's
Yeah.
my
Uh,
favorite book of his, to tell you the truth.
oh, I've only read Sabrina, and I thought it was incredible.
Yeah, I
Um,
like Beverly a lot.
all right,
I'm
then that one's staying in the cart.
I'm not so hot on acting class, but I thought that Beverly was and it was his first book. That was a really strong debut.
All right.
Yeah. But dragging it back to the things here because it's fun to talk comics and all that. But do you ever get to where you feel guilty about the time you spend fucking around reading and other shit when there's
No, because
problems that could be fixed?
because
You know what I'm saying?
No,
Yeah, and I mean,
I do. I got what you're
frankly,
saying.
I
And
feel more
Daria says
guilty.
hello.
Oh, is Daria talking to you?
Texting, yes. I was
Okay,
trying to
tell
get her
her.
to come pop in, but she's out and about.
Yeah, tell her I said
Um,
hi.
but the thing is that I mean two things. Um, I think that sometimes uh these comics are part of the solution. And I know that can sound glib, but like
No, I agree.
uh, to we talked earlier about like there are the people that are relatively easy to reach, and they're the people that are impossible to reach, and then they're the
Hmm.
people that don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Hmm.
Those people who don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole might be willing to read a comic that made them think differently about the world.
Yeah.
Oh, possibly even without trying to make them think differently about the
Oh
world.
yeah.
One of the beautiful things of a book like Saga is that there are a lot of worldly connections, um if you want them, but they're
Mhm.
not forced on you.
Yeah.
Um
I'd also say that.
but that can mean that you wind up making um you wind up building parts of your character and your own personal morality and ethic, so that then suddenly when you see that morality that you built through Saga in the real world, even though you hadn't seen it before, you've grounded yourself in an idea of right and wrong
Mhm.
that came from fiction, but now when it's in front of you as an influence. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I follow you.
I'd also put it as, art is what life's about. It's what we're fighting for,
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's
And
true.
and on top of that, I was going to say that I feel more guilty just going to my fucking day job and doing something to make profit for rich people,
I
you know.
mean,
I don't have
That
that word because
that's
I work for the government, but
yeah. I mean, I worked
well,
for the
I mean,
government
I
for a time.
sometimes feel more guilty. Like I teach,
Hmm.
and like these aren't conversations that we're particularly comfortable having in schools right now.
That's
right, and
hard.
it's too
And
bad
where the
because it's
hell?
the
I mean, of
important
all the
time to do
places
it.
that we should be having conversations like this, shouldn't high schools be at the top of them?
They
You'd
should.
hope. You'd hope, yeah.
So yeah, I sometimes feel more guilty at school than I feel at home reading a comic book. Like if you comics are the fuel that keep me going and keep me willing to fight the fight and give me this platform, however small it might be, to decide we're not talking about comics tonight, or we're not
Until we
just
are.
talking about comics tonight, because we're going to talk about how hard this week has been.
Yeah.
And it still ended up on comics.
It did, but it did when we needed to release.
Yeah.
It did when we hit a point where we didn't know what else to say.
Well, we have another ally here in our fight against ice, which is real ice. If
Yep.
you watch the video from the other day, those motherfuckers were slipping all over the place
Seen a couple.
because their boots, you know what I mean, aren't gonna be.
Yep.
We've had this thing
Well,
where it was
and when you bring them
warm,
up from Louisiana, they're not used to like ice.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they're not gonna. The ice issue boots are probably, you know what I'm saying?
You think they're actually
Yeah.
issuing them boots? They're deliberately
Oh.
recruiting among tactical adjacent people already. Those guys are
Mm.
wearing their own boots.
Right, but I
Lovely.
mean, I don't think your Proud Boy
Hmm.
uniform boots
No, that's my
are the
point. Yeah.
same
Yeah, yeah.
ones that. Anyway, we've had this type of weather where, and actually I should be the one to talk because I thought I was going to break my own fucking neck the other day. Um, they have these, it'll melt during the day and get sloppy and
Hmm.
then freeze up overnight. So like I work 3 to 11, and the other day I was breaking in a new pair of boots, and they were not winter boots. It was
Hmm.
not smart. By the time I got home and had to park because my alley was inaccessible, I could not get my car up the alley. It's sheer
Hmm.
glare ice. So I had to park on the street, and I had to park. Everybody was parked on the street because nobody could get to their garage.
Right.
And I'm about 5, 6 houses down on glare ice in goddamn dress boots. I am
See,
lucky.
I'm equally stupid. I'm still perpetually clad in my Converse, which are like not at all ice appropriate, but
Don't you
because I'm
got
used to what
don't you got like winter snow boots or like
I own them. I don't wear them as often as I should.
yeah, I don't think I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't see how I get through the winter without like at least around here without your LL Bean or something or
No,
equivalent
I
type
get it.
boots.
When I'm smart, I wear my Keens.
Okay.
But
But yeah, those are
but
supposed to be pretty comfortable.
they are, but I don't want to traipse around school with them, and I don't have a great place to change my shoes, etc. So it's like I navigate the parking lot in my cons, and then I forget about it.
You don't have
And
a
I
pair of
hope
boots you don't mind wearing all fucking day?
uh, I have a pair of boots that I probably would be willing to wear all fucking day, except for the fact that I mean, again, if I was smart, Ryan, I'm using this as an example of me not being any smarter than,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a step up from half the kids at my school that are in fucking Crocs or slip-on Uggs or
Heelys still around?
not at high school level. That's an elementary school
I'm
thing.
very much an
Okay.
evangelist about this because when I broke my ankle and leg a few years ago,
Yeah.
falling on ice, it was
Mhm.
because it was like the one time my dumbass thought to myself, I'm sick of wearing boots every day. And I just put on a pair of like slip-on loafers or something, and I'm walking back to my car from the post office and fell on the ice. And there went about the next 6, 8 months of my life. You know what I mean? So
Well,
I'm very much an evangelist for people to wear proper winter footwear.
that's a good evangelist thing to be. And like on that note, as we hit like the 240
Fuck.
mark when we thought we were gonna be short, I'm gonna say
Well, I want to say
okay,
I
go
want to
ahead,
say
Ryan.
quick. Let's hope real ice does the job for us against ice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm all for that. And for that matter, I have long thought that the water coolers that we need to have all over any sort of protest is like free water for protesters, bystanders, city police, county
Mhm.
police, no ice.
Yeah,
And
there you
have it in
go.
a cooler with like some other way of cooling it than ice.
It's actually a good.
Liquid nitrogen.
Yeah. Can you freeze cyanide? And like, does that work? I don't know.
Again, 22 panels does
Yeah,
not condone
No
murder.
one's eating the cyanide. We're just freezing it, Tad. Don't worry
yeah,
about it.
it's just a cool
I
down.
want to make it clear.
I
But
have
yeah,
neither access nor intent to use cyanide.
whatever these guys have on their feet is not the right shit for
No.
this climate. And
And
I
let
have
us
seen,
hope it stays that way for a
yes,
while.
they are slipping all over town. So
Of
we
course,
have that on our
you
side.
know that when they decide to switch, they're going to switch to like old school Ty Cobb sharpened spikes
Yeah. Well,
so
yeah.
that
So
their
when they
boots
slide
can
into a
both
guy,
be
yeah.
non-slip and weapons.
Boy, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't it? Well, then again, though, street gangs have a long history of weaponizing their boots. You know what I mean?
They do.
They
I
do.
mean, and what is ICE if not a street gang?
Oh, it's the government's
Um,
official gang.
Hmm.
I mean, if only ICE and Border Patrol got along like the Bloods and the Crips, then we'd have less trouble because they'd be too busy fighting each other.
That's true.
But somehow there's still simpatico street gangs. That's the wedge that we need to make. We need to drive a wedge between ICE and Border Patrol. Think on that, everybody. What's the
And
way to convince ICE that Border Patrol is the bad guy and Border Patrol that ICE is the bad guy? Because,
that's true. And it can be done. I mean, a lot of police agencies have a long history of not liking each other.
oh God, LA County versus LA City?
Yeah. Well, or here, the MPD against Hennepin County Sheriff's Department,
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. County versus city is often a huge deal. FBI versus state, you name it. Law enforcement often does not play together.
Yeah.
So
But right
maybe we
now
can
they are, and it's
arrange for
causing big
the
problems.
here is I think somebody needs like more and more. I think our president doesn't just want to be a king, he wants to be a Roman emperor. So somebody needs to remind him that before the individual gladiatorial matches, there were big melees. So he's got this cage match, UFC cage match planned for his birthday. Before that, there should just be an ICE CPD melee on the White House lawn, and then they can have their UFC cage match. And
What the
I
hell?
don't know why they moved the G7. I think that they should have taken advantage of the fact that a president was going to be busy with a cage match to have the G7 without him.
Yeah, that's for sure. And they also is a main.
Or maybe they said they moved the G7 so he'd planned to go at a different time and they are going to have the G7 without him, and then when he shows up in Europe they're going to arrest him. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, they're gonna
I didn't
have.
say that out loud. I don't want anybody to get any ideas. I mean, I do want wink wink somebody to get ideas, but yeah.
Probably nobody listening to us will be
Hi
with
mom.
an idea that can
Hi
suit.
mom. Hi Adam. Hi John.
Exactly.
Hi Britt.
We probably
This
know everybody that's tuned in. You know what I mean?
pretty damn close.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, that's comics, man. Everybody knows everybody.
this has been the 218th episode of 22 Panels where we did very little to talk about comics, and we certainly didn't follow our normal rundown. We will be back next week to finally wrap up 2025. We've got our best miniseries, our best graphic novels, and our best ongoing series picks still to talk about. Everybody be safe, be well, be kind. And for Nate, 6'7", and we'll see you after the next page.